Ladies and gentlemen, let us all rise for the arrival of the Honorable Senate President and the Senators of the Republic of the Philippines.
The 29th session of the Senate and the first regular session of the 18th Congress is hereby called to order. The Minority Leader, Senator Franklin Drilon, will lead the chamber in prayer.
Let us put ourselves in the loving presence of the Lord. Almighty Father, we give thanks for all the blessings you have showered upon us. We give all glory and honor to you. May you continue to bless us with wisdom and fortitude as we fulfill our duties in today's proceedings. Guide us that we may do what is right and just according to your will. Lord, we humbly ask your forgiveness for our shortcomings and weakness of heart. Lead us to a path that only chooses your holy will, so each step will lead us closer to you. Grant that we may become your living instruments of peace, justice, and compassion. We trust that through your unfailing love and divine guidance, we can accomplish everything. All these we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. The Secretary will please call the roll.
Roll call of members, the Honorable Senators Angara, Binay, Cayetano, De Lima, De La Rosa, Drilon, Gatchalian, Go, Gordon, Ontiveros, Lacson, Lapid, Marcos, Pacquiao, Pangilinan, Pimentel, Poe, Recto, Revilla, Tolentino, Villanueva, Villar, Zubiri, Senate President Soto III.
Sa pinto. With 23 senators present, the chair declares the presence of a quorum.
Mr. President?
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, move that we dispense with the reading of the journal of the 28th session, Monday, September 30, 2019. Consider the same as approved.
Any objection? Chair is none. Motion is approved. The journal is approved.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before we do the reference of business, we'd like to recognize in the gallery today visitors of Senator Kiko Pangilinan, delegates of the 12th Australian Political Exchange Council, headed by Honorable Trevor Evans and Mr. John Kraus. Mr. President.
Welcome to the Senate, to our guests. Thank you.
We also have with us political leaders from Sulu, Mayor Ben Said of Muksan, Siasi, Sulu Province, Councilor Dan Haisinon from Siasi, Sulu Province, as well as Mayor Simon Caguiap of Municipality of St. Joseph, Agusan del Sur, are here with us as well. And we also have, Mr. President, guests of Senator Pacquiao and Senator Bongo, Mr. Vice Mayor Eric Recinto, and the councilors of the Municipality of Lambayong, Sultan Kudarat. are here with us, older councilors and the Vice Mayor. And finally, we have several teachers in the gallery, Mr. President. We have the Alliance for Concerned Teachers, Manila Public School Teachers Association, and Quezon City Public School Teachers Association are here today, Mr. President, with us.
We welcome all our local government officials and the teachers. Welcome to
President.
the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, move that we proceed with the reference of business.
Secretary will proceed with the reference of business.
Reference of business, bills on first reading. Senate Number 1078, entitled An Act Accelerating the Country's Total Electrification of Households, Providing for a Reliable and Efficient Solar Energy System to Public Schools, Allocating for the purpose the proceeds from the net national government share from the Malampaya Natural Gas Project and for other purposes, introduced by Senator Recto.
Referred to the Committees on Energy and Finance.
Senate Number 1079, an act further facilitating the acquisition of untitled lands for public use, amending for this purpose Sections 5 and 6 of Republic Act Number 10752, entitled An Act Facilitating the Acquisition of Right-of-Way Site or Location for National Government Infrastructure Projects, introduced by Senator Recto.
To the Committees on Public Works and Justice.
Senate Number 1080, an act institutionalizing public-private partnerships, PPP, creating the PPP Center, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes, introduced by Senator Recto.
Referred to the Committees on Public Works, Ways and Means, and Finance.
Senate Number 1081, an act prescribing a just and humane code of conduct for the settlement of underprivileged and homeless citizens, providing penalties for violation thereof, and appropriating funds therefore, introduced by Senator Ontiveros.
Referred to the Committees on Urban Planning, Housing and Resettlement, and Finance.
Senate Number 1082, an act establishing the National Coastal Greenbelt Action Plan, providing funds therefore and for other purpose, introduced by Senator Binay.
Referred to the Committees on Environment, Natural Resources and Climate Change, and Finance.
Resolutions. PS Resolution Number 151, entitled Resolution Expressing the Full Support of the Senate of the Philippines in the observance of the National Indigenous Peoples Month, introduced by Senator Binay.
To the Committee on Rules.
PS Resolution Number 152, resolution urging the Executive Department to authorize and implement emergency measures and additional safety nets to ameliorate the economic shock of Filipino rice farmers in light of the significant reduction of palay prices, introduced by Senator Ontiveros.
To the Committees on Agriculture, Economic Affairs, and Finance.
PS Resolution Number 153, a resolution urging the Senate Committees on Agrarian Reform and Social Justice and Rural Development to conduct an investigation in aid of legislation on the dismal rate of land distribution by the Department of Agrarian Reform, DAR, resulting in lost income for farmer beneficiaries and wastage of government funds, introduced by Senator Ontiveros.
To the Committees on Agriculture, Social Justice, and Finance.
Communications, letters from the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas transmitting to the Senate copies of the following certified and authenticated BSP issuances in compliance with Section 15A of Republic Act Number 7653, the new Central Bank Act. Circular Letter Number CL 2019-066 and 67, dated 12 and 17 September 2019, and Circular Number 1050, dated 18 September 2019.
To the Committee on Banks.
Letters from the Office of the President of the Philippines transmitting to the Senate two original copies of the following Republic Acts, which were signed by President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Republic Act Number 11442.
You may read the Republic Act numbers.
Republic Act Number 11442, Republic Act Number 11443, Republic Act Number 11444, Republic Act Number 11445, Republic Act Number 11446, Republic Act Number 11447, Republic Act Number 11448, Republic Act Number 11449, Republic Act Number 11450, Republic Act Number 11458, Republic Act Number 11459.
To the Archives.
Committee reports. Committee Report Number 9, prepared and submitted jointly by the Committees on National Defense and Security, Peace and Unification and Reconciliation, and Finance on Senate Number 1083 with Senator Soto III, Lacson, and Marcos as authors thereof, entitled An Act Amending Certain Provisions of Republic Act Number 9372, otherwise known as An Act to Secure the State and Protect Our People from Terrorism, recommending its approval in substitution of Senate Number 621 and 630, sponsor Senator Lacson.
To the calendar for ordinary business.
Committee Report Number 10, submitted jointly by the Committees on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs and National Defense and Security, Peace, Unification, and Reconciliation on PS Resolution Number 38, introduced by Senator De La Rosa, entitled Resolution Directing the Senate Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs and National Security and Defense to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on missing minors who are allegedly recruited by leftist groups as their members and fighters to the detriment of the welfare of said minors, with the end in view of recommending measures that will ensure peace and promote the welfare of children, recommending the adoption of the recommendations and their immediate implementation, sponsor Senator De La Rosa.
To the calendar for ordinary business. There is additional reference of business.
Additional reference of business, message from the House of Representatives. Letter from the House of Representatives informing the Senate that on 20 September 2019, it passed House Number 4228 entitled An Act Appropriating Funds for the Operation of the Government of the Republic of the Philippines from January 1 to December 31, 2020, and for other purposes, in which it requests the concurrence of the Senate.
Referred to the Committee on Finance.
Bills on first reading, Senate Number 1084, entitled An Act Establishing the Tax Regime of One Corporations, amending for this purpose Section 28B of the National Internal Revenue Code of 1997 as amended, introduced by Senator Recto.
To the Committee on Ways and Means.
Senate Number 1085, an act declaring February 10 of every year as the National Anti-Hazing Day in commemoration of all the victims of hazing in the Philippines, introduced by Senator Zubiri.
To the Committee on Higher, Technical, and Vocational Education.
Resolutions. PS Resolution Number 154, entitled Resolution Authorizing All Regular Standing Committees, Oversight Committees, and Special Committees of the Senate to conduct hearings, meetings, and consultations during every recess of the Senate, to have continuity in the process of passing pending proposed legislation, and to conduct investigation on issues of national interest to aid in crafting relevant legislation, introduced by Senator Zubiri.
To the Committee on Rules.
PS Resolution Number 155, Resolution celebrating World Teachers' Day on 5 October 2019 and honoring and commending all teachers for their hard work and invaluable contribution to nurturing the minds of Filipinos of all generations, introduced by Senator Zubiri.
To the Committee on Rules.
Committee Report. Committee Report Number 11, prepared and submitted jointly by the Committees on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform, Social Justice, Welfare and Rural Development, and Finance on Senate Joint Resolution Number 8, with Senators Marcos, Villar, Zubiri, Pangilinan, De Lima, and Angara as authors thereof, entitled Joint Resolution Directing the Department of Social Welfare and Development, DSWD, Department of Interior and Local Government, DILG, Department of National Defense, DND, Department of Transportation, DOTR, Department of Environment, Natural Resources, DNR, and the local government units in coordination with the National Food Authority, NFA, and the Department of Agriculture, DA, to directly purchase palay from the local farmers for the rice subsidy program, recommending its approval in substitution of Senate Joint Resolution Numbers 4 and 5, taking into consideration PS Resolution Number 150, sponsor Senator Villar.
To the calendar for ordinary business. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, with the permission of the body, I move that we consider proposed Senate resolutions number 142, 149, and 155. Mr. President,
Any objection? Chair hears none. Motion is approved.
may we ask the Secretary to
Consideration
read
is
the
in
title
order.
of the measure?
Yes, Secretary will read the title of the resolution without prejudice to inserting into the records the contents.
Resolution honoring and commending the Filipino teachers for their hard work and commitment to shaping the learners of all generations.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, the month of October happens to be Teachers' Month. So may we recognize, Mr. President, to sponsor the measure, no other than Senator Ramon Bong Revilla Jr. May we recognize the good sponsors.
Senator Revilla is recognized to sponsor the measure. So,
Mr. President, Senator Bong Revilla would just like to insert his speech to the records, and he'll just give a copy of his speech to the Secretariat.
all right,
Therefore, we'd like to, yes, Mr.
Yes, we
President.
place that on record.
Mr. President, second to sponsor the measure is Senator Sherwin T. Gatchalian. May we
Sherwin
recognize-
Gatchalian, Senator Gatchalian is recognized.
Mr. President, Senator Gatchalian, I think, has a has a knee problem because he doesn't want to stand up. He also wants to insert his speech for the records, Mr. President.
So inserted.
Secretary be
Yes.
instructed.
So inserted.
May we now recognize Senator Joel Villanueva to deliver his speech for our teachers.
Senator Villanueva is recognized to sponsor the measure, to co-sponsor the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Majority Floor Leader. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is my honor to co-sponsor Senate Resolution number 142 and 149, honoring and commending the Filipino teachers for their hard work and commitment to shaping the learners of all generations. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, I am a product of two public school teachers, Brother Eddie and Sister Dory. Teaching is a very noble profession. That's why it's not surprising to know that we have more than 1 million Filipino teachers in this country. Earlier, Mr. President, during the committee hearing on higher technical and vocational education, we found out that more than 600,000 college students are enrolled in teacher education institutions. Mr. President, this number represents 20% of the 3.2 million students in our colleges and universities. Napakarami pong mga kabataang Pilipino na gustong maging guro. Patunay po ito na maraming kabataan ang handang mag-alay ng sarili para sa bayan. Maraming education students na po akong nakausap at palagi ko po silang tinatanong, bakit at anong dahilan kung paano kayo naudyukan na maging isang guro? Ang palagi po nilang tugon ay para sa bata, sa susunod na henerasyon at para sa ating bayan. Mr. President, until now, the entry salary of a public school teacher is no more than 20,754 pesos a month. Just last week, Mr. President, I met Ma'am Eileen Valera, a teacher from Sauyo National High School in Tandangsora, Quezon City. I'm not very sure if Sauyo National High School is located in one of the poorest areas of Quezon City. In fact, most of Ma'am Valera's students live in squatter areas within the vicinity of the school, Mr. President. Ang sabi po niya sa akin, and speaking on behalf of junior and senior public school teachers, Joel, we do a million things. Ang aming bakasyon ay ginugugol sa paggawa ng lesson plans, research, or attending seminars. We face 200 or more students a day. Our 6 hours in school is work-intensive. Each hour of face-to-face encounter with our classes, more than 1.5 hours would be spent in preparation. Our moral responsibility extends to the parents of our students since we often advise, correct, or coax them towards their children's welfare. We mediate in family problems. Problems we encounter in the public school system do make us incredulous. Mr. President, when I heard Ma'am Valera's story, I understand all the more the plight of our teachers, especially in the public schools. Today, we honor and commend our teachers' contribution to nation building, but our thank you is not enough. We have the moral obligation to make our teachers' lives a little bit easier, secure, and stable. In this regard, Mr. President, we filed Senate Bill number 715, lowering the optional retirement age of our public school teachers from 60 to 55. We also filed Senate Bill number 152, giving them additional benefits such as grocery, transportation, and medical allowance. Dagdag na tulong para po sa napakalaking gampanin at sakripisyo ng ating mga minamahal na mga guro. Let's continue to invest in our teachers who mold the future generations of our people. Muli, Happy National Teachers Month at matagumpay at mabuhay ang gurong Pilipino. Maraming salamat po, Ginoong Pangulo.
Thank you. We might as well call the attention of the chairman of the Committee on Basic Education that we filed the bill. The presiding officer filed a bill exempting the public school teachers from the payment of income taxes.
Yes. Mr.
I
President,
hope it can be heard.
may I be allowed as well to sponsor the measure?
Senator
Mr. President?
Subsidy is
Thank you.
recognized.
If you notice this pin that I'm wearing here on my side, it's actually for Teachers Month, and it says, salary increase now. Salary increase now. Chairman of Appropriations, take note. Mr. President, we filed also a bill to increase the salaries of our teachers, public school teachers. And this October 5, the National Teachers Month will be coming to a close. But although this month of appreciation will end, the work of a teacher never will. Consider, Mr. President, the demands of a teacher. For hours on end, they have to access immense reserves of energy in order to engage huge groups of students. And then they're obliged to devote most of their free time to crafting lesson plans, checking papers, preparing for parent-teacher reports, attending seminars, and supervising students, extracurricular activities, among others. Not to mention, teachers have to constantly see to the upkeeping of their own education, to remain ahead of the curve, and to ensure that their curricula and their teaching methods are up to date in this increasingly technological world. Apart from all of that, teachers have to expand great amounts of emotional labor in order to fulfill the unwritten duty of being second parents to tens or even hundreds of students on a daily basis. They have to be sensitive to the individual needs of their students while keeping the group's learning pace moving. They may even have to help their students with problems that stem from turbulent homes and that even bleed into their academic performance. This National Teachers Month is a recognition of all that work, inside and outside the classroom. But a month is hardly enough recognition, Mr. President, given how the teaching profession demands full devotion. One does not just work as a teacher, one is a teacher day in and day out. As such, before this month of appreciation comes to end, I would like to reaffirm our commitment to our teachers and promise that we will work hard to institutionalize the pay increase of our basic education teachers this 18th Congress. In this way, even long after the National Teachers Month is over, we can continue to thank our teachers by giving them the compensation that they rightfully deserve. Maraming salamat, Mr. President, at mabuhay ang ating mga guro. Mr. President, no other member wishes to interpolate. I move that we close the period of interpellation. I so move.
Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. President, no other amendments, individual or committee. I move that we close the period of amendments.
And to include all the members,
And Mr. President, yes,
all the-
please include, I move, Mr. President, with the permission of the body, to include all the members of the Senate as co-sponsors and co-authors.
so approved, then the period of amendments is closed.
Mr. President, with that, I move to adopt PS Resolution Number 142, taking consideration PS number, Resolution Number 149 and 155, subject to style. I so move.
Any objection? Hearing none, PS Resolution 142 is hereby approved.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, with the permission of the body, I move to transfer, 1 second, Mr. Ask for a 1-minute suspension, Mr. President.
Session suspended.
Ready to resume, Mr. President.
Session resumed.
Mr. President, with the permission of the body, may we transfer the calendar of ordinary business to the calendar for special orders. Senate Bill number, the first one. Use of sports? Okay. Wala pa yung bill. Okay, Mr. President. Senate Joint Resolution, rather. I move to transfer from the calendar of ordinary business to special order Senate Joint Resolution Number 8. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, so transferred.
Mr. President, I move that we consider Senate Joint Resolution Number 8 and ask the Secretary to read the title.
The Secretary will read the title of the joint resolution and without prejudice to inserting the text of the resolution into the records.
Joint resolution directing the Department of Social Welfare and Development, DSWD, Department of the Interior and Local Government, DILG, Department of National Defense, DND, Department of Transportation, DOTR, Department of Environment Natural Resources, DNR, and the local government units in coordination with the National Food Authority, NFA, and the Department of Agriculture, DA, to directly purchase palay from the local farmers for the rice subsidy program.
Mr. President, to sponsor the measure, we recognize the distinguished chairperson of the Committee on Agriculture, no other than Senator Cynthia Villar.
The chairperson of the Committee on Agriculture, Senator Cynthia Villar, is recognized.
Mr. President, we just want the Senate to approve our joint resolution directing the Department of Social Welfare and Development and other departments of the government in coordination with the and as well as the local government units in cooperation with the National Food Authority and the Department of Agriculture to directly purchase from the local farmers their rice subsidy program. It has been known to everybody that the rice tariffication law is a system wherein we are liberalizing the importation of rice in our country, and because of this, there is some dislocation among local farmers. So, to help the local farmers be able to adjust to the rice tariffication model, then we are asking the government departments, especially the DSWD and the local governments, to help in purchasing rice directly from the local farmers so that our local farmers will have a ready market, considering that this month is the start of the harvest season in the Philippines, and we want that we have a lot of markets for the local farmers so they won't complain. And so we are asking the Senate to approve this resolution in time for the harvest of our local farmers. Thank you, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, may I ask for a 1-minute suspension?
Session suspended.
Ready to resume, Mr. President?
Session resumed.
Mr. President, before we recognize the Minority Floor Leader, my apologies to the Minority Floor Leader, I believe Senator Amy Marcos and Senator Bongo would also like to co-sponsor and deliver their co-sponsorship speeches. My apologies to the Minority Floor Leader. May we
So
recognize
who
ladies
goes
first? Senator Amy Marcos.
Senator Imelda Marcos is recognized.
Maraming salamat po. At si Francisco Balagtas, ang dakilang laureat ng Pilipinas, ay nakapansin na kung minsan ang kabiguan ang nagtutulak sa isang tao upang magsikap at magkamit ng tagumpay. Naway ang patuloy na kabiguan ng ating mumunting magsasaka ay di mauwi sa kapahamakan, kundi magtulak sa bawat isang magsumikap na sa huling banda ay magtagumpay pa rin ang magsasakang Pilipino. So ito ay isang paraan upang tulungan ang ating mga rice farmers na naghihikahos sa panahong ito. Manifestation lang po. Maraming salamat.
Thank you. Senator Christopher Go is recognized.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. Sa pagdinig kaninang umaga ng Committee on Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform, kasama ang Committee on Finance, binalangkas ang isang joint resolution na naglalayong gamitin ang rice subsidy ng 4-piece beneficiary sa pagbili ng palay mula sa ating mga local farmers. Magtulungan ang DSWD at ang Department of Agriculture sa paggamit ng pondong ito na nagkakahalaga ng 600 pesos per month bawat beneficiary. Sa ngayon, marami pa rin magsasaka ang naghihirap at below minimum wage ang kinikita dahil sa pagdagsa ng murang bigas mula sa ibang bansa reports state that 200,000 farmers have stopped working on food production and 4,000 rice mills have ceased operations. Kaya sinusuportahan ko ang joint resolution ito. Ito ay agarang tugon sa pangangailangan ng ating mga magsasaka. Nilapitan po ako nila Senator Amy Marcos at Senator Cynthia upang magsilbi at iparating kay Pangulong Duterte. Hangad nilang ma-certify as urgent po ito ng Pangulo, ang joint resolution na ito. Hinihiling ko rin po ang aksyong ito sa ating Pangulo at nangako siyang gagawin niya ito at kapag naisumiti na sa kanya ang committee report. Maalala ko po nung 2016, pinagpatuloy niya itong 4-piece program na ito at dinagdagan niya po ng rice subsidy, pero cash po yung pinabigay niya. So, ngayon, bilang tulong po sa ating mga farmers, imbis na cash po ang ibibigay sa 4-piece beneficiaries, gagawin na pong in the form of rice. So, doble po ito, makakatulong sa ating farmers at the same time sa mga 4-piece beneficiaries. Makakaasa ang mga magsasaka na lagi akong magiging kakibat nila. If the principal author will allow me, I would like to be a co-sponsor of the joint resolution. Thank you, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, may I be allowed to manifest also my support and sponsorship of my measure for just a few minutes? Mr. President, that is absolutely correct. Mga sinabi po ng ating mga sponsors, matagal na natin itong binibigyang pansin sa lahat ng hearings ng DSWD at DA na bakit pa tayo magbibigay ng cash sa conditional cash transfer na alam naman po natin, lalo na sa amin sa probinsya, ay ginagamit lang po nila ito para magmadyong at magsabong at mag-inom minsan. No? At nasasayang lang po ang pera na binibigay ng gobyerno through their conditional cash transfer. This way, marami po tayong matutulungan, siguradong makakain na po ang ating mga nangangailangan ng tulong sa gobyerno at matutulungan pa natin ang ating mga magsasaka. As a matter of fact, we also passed last year, the last Congress, the measure of Senator Grace po, together with myself and several other senators, Senator Gordon, yung Food for School program na hindi pa na-implement. Kung maituloy po natin yung Food for School program na yan, Mr. President, imagine all the vegetables, all the fruits, all the rice, all the meat products that will be bought by the town or by the schools from the farmers in the localities will be enough to help our farmers market their goods. Hindi na po sila nangangailangan pa na magbenta sa mga traders. The DepEd alone, through that program, to the DSWD or whichever agency will implement it, will be the one to buy all the local produce from the farmers to feed our children in school. It is not only an anti-poverty measure, it will also be a way to fight malnutrition because our children, we all know, at that age, especially sa grades 1 to 5, is the critical period of our children's lives when we need to nourish them with the food that they need, their body badly needs, and their mental growth as well, for their mental growth as well. So I fully support this measure, Mr. President, and I hope that that the DSWD and the DA, together with the DBM, come up with a formula on how to, as we're going to authorize them today, on how to be able to distribute this rice to the individual members of the 4-piece program. Mr. President, hindi po ako naniniwala na ito ay isang logistical nightmare because lahat po ng ating 4-piece recipients ay kumukuha o kinukuha po nila yung kanilang pera sa Land Bank of the Philippines. They're all given, what you call that, not credit card, but bank cards, ATMs. And in this ATM, they withdraw the cash from the ATM machine. So they have to go to the poblacion. So when they go to the poblacion, NFA could come up with licensed NFA dealers. Doon na nila kukunin yung kanilang ilang sako o ilang piraso o ilang kilo na bigas para mauiwi nila sa kanilang mga tahanan. So there could be a very simple solution to the logistical problem. So with that, Mr. President, I hope that our colleagues will join us in pushing for this measure. I think this will help all of us solve the problem of poverty, and of course the problem that the farmers are feeling now, which is a lack of marketing of their palay and their rice. So thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, may we now recognize a distinguished minority floor leader to interpolate our distinguished sponsor.
Senator Cynthia Villar is recognized, Chairman of the Committee on Agriculture, and the Minority Leader, Senator Frank Dillon, for the period of interpellation.
Ano ba yung province, sir?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Saan yung province?
Will the lady sponsor yield the floor to a few questions?
Yes, Mr. President.
Well, we just got a copy of the resolution just now, and conceptually, what we can understand from this is that instead of giving cash under the four-piece program, the cash will be in a commodity, rice. Is that what it is, what this resolution wants to do? How does, yeah,
Yes, I'm listening. Yes,
sorry?
I'm listening. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, it's okay. No, I'm just looking at the resolutory clause, Mr. President. It says, resolved by the Senate and the House of Representatives voting separately to direct the DSWD, DILG, DND, DOTR, DNR, and the LGUs, or local government units, in coordination with the NFA, to directly purchase from the local farmers for the rice subsidy program. And in the one of the whereas clauses, it cites the balance of 6.97 billion remaining as undisbursed under the rice subsidy program. What this resolution means is that it is, okay, I'll probably ask the question, what does the resolution want to do, Mr. President?
Can I, Mr. President, we are mandating the DSWD for the rest of the year to use yung kanilang cash for rice subsidy to buy rice from the farmers, and instead of giving cash to the CCT beneficiary, they will give rice. It's
So the-
600 pesos for 20 kilos of rice.
I'm sorry, how much?
600 pesos,
So 600 pesos.
For-
So the DSW,
20 kilos of rice.
so who will buy the rice, Mr. President?
The DSWD will buy the rice
The DSWD will buy the rice.
from the NFA, and the NFA will give the list of their CCT beneficiary in that particular place, and they will help people there, and they will claim the rice from the NFA warehouse.
They will clear, okay. So the
If,
DSW, just so I can understand it,
Yeah.
sir. First, the DSWD will purchase the rice
From NFA.
from NFA.
And then the NFA, together with the employees of DSWD, will bear there where they have a warehouse, and our clients, the CCT beneficiary, will go there to claim the rice.
Sorry po, right now, there is a rice subsidy program, ma'am. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
All right. Under the rice subsidy program,
The CCT beneficiary is entitled to 20 kilos of rice in the amount of 600 pesos. That's
they are
30 pesos
entitled
per
under the-
kilo.
Yeah. They are entitled to 20 kilos of rice, which is equivalent to 600 pesos.
Oh, 30 pesos
So
per
that is now
kilo.
provided under our present laws, or
They give the money, but we want them to give rice to help our local farmers.
So,
Instead of giving money, the 600,
I know.
they will buy the rice and they will
So-
give rice to our local farmers, to our to our CCT beneficiaries instead. Because this
So
is
teka lang,
two-way.
yeah.
Yeah.
The,
We are-
the sums of money right now, Mr. President, is appropriated to the DSWD.
Yes.
Is that correct, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
All right. What we will do is move that money, or no, the DSWD will use that money to buy rice
Rice.
from the DFA.
The
From
NFA.
the NFA, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They will use that money instead of distributing cash
Yes.
to the beneficiaries. They will now use this money to buy rice.
Yes.
Now, after they have bought the rice, they will now distribute the rice.
NFA,
NFA.
together with their employees, will distribute the rice to the CCT beneficiaries.
Okay.
There will be no
Why not-
question
Huh?
because it's a government-to-government transaction. Yes.
Yes, but why can we not just give cash to the beneficiaries?
Because, as you know, the local farmers are complaining that we don't have enough market for their rice because the government has passed the RTL, which liberalized the importation of rice in the Philippines, because our agreement with the WTO in 1995 expired in 2017 after 22 years. And under that agreement, after 22 years, we have to liberalize the importation of rice, and we have to stop the quantitative restriction on importation of rice.
We understand that, ma'am. But the question is, are farmers also members of the 4-piece program?
Will we be giving? No, the farmers will benefit because NFA will be buying rice.
I know, Miss Ma'am,
Yeah.
but
But
that on a completely separate question.
Yes.
Are the farmers also 4-piece beneficiaries?
We don't know. Because some farmers may be, if they are poor, just like the coconut farmers,
Yes.
but they have a list. And they won't give rice to those who are not CCT beneficiaries.
Yes, because I was just thinking that if the farmers are also PPP beneficiaries, we might as well just give cash to them, and we don't have to go through the process of buying rice and distributing it. Yeah.
This is the money with the DSSWD is only 6 billion. Actually, the actual budget is 31 billion. But after spending, ano na ba tayo ngayon? October, we have 3 months left and the money is only 6 billion na. So this is a good time to practice whether we can do this better. Because this is better. This is being practiced in other countries that they don't give cash to their CCT beneficiary. They give food. And in the course of their work, dalawang nakikinabang. Yung mga binibigyan ng pagkain para sila maging malusog, and at the same time, kumikita rin yung mga farmers because nakakapagtinda sila ng pagkain sa ating gobyerno.
Okay.
In fact, this is being done in Thailand and in Brazil.
Yes. But ma'am, in your resolutory condition, Mr. President, we're directing not only the DSWD, but also the DILG, the DND, the DOTR, the DNR, and the LGUs, and the D8 to directly purchase palay from the local farmers. I am not aware that the
Kasi po,
DILG,
nag-volunteer
Ma'am, can I
sila
finish?
kasi may mga
Ma'am, can I finish my question?
Okay.
Mr. President, can we have on the record why we are including in the directive the DILG, DND, DOTR, DNR, LGUs in the directive to purchase rice, when as far as we know, these agencies have no budget, it is only the DSWD.
Sometimes in their compensation, Mr. President, they give rice. So that is what we are targeting. And the local government, they really buy rice because they have prisons, they have hospitals, they have a feeding program, and they have what do you call calamity assistance, and they have food for work program. We are not mandating them. We are just saying that in their program where they give rice, that they buy it from the local farmers. But the most important here is DSWD because it's a definite amount of.
So it is not only the DSWD and the four-piece funds which are being redirected, but all the other funds, be it in the DNR, DA, etc., now they are being directed to purchase from the farmers.
There is really pala allocation in this department every year that they give rice to their employees. In the amount of 20 kilos a month at the cost of, they have a budget. Okay. We have the Department of Transportation, Philippine Coast Guard, may mga rice subsidy talaga. Department of National Defense, Department of Interior and Local Government, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Office of the Secretary, and rather, military and uniformed personnel.
We are raising this issue not because we are objecting to the concept, but because
Ito ba? Ano to
the
yung
original
title?
intent
Hindi ba ito?
was only on the DSWD four-piece program. Now the response, Mr. President, to our question is that it includes the entire rice program of the different agencies. Well, the question that we raise is, were these different agencies consulted on this proposal to now purchase only from the farmers and not anywhere else?
Mr. President, we had a hearing this morning, and they were all there, and they are very supportive of the program. They just want to help the farmers also.
We want to help the farmers, but we want to help the farmers in a most efficient manner. And that is why we raised the issue of the ability to distribute the grains rather than the commodity, rather than the cash itself, because the DSWD has been engaged in the four-piece program and would distribute assistance in cash, and therefore the logistical issue is satisfactorily responded to. If I recall correctly, this is an issue. That's why they have to. They do not. It's not an easy issue to resolve. That is why they involve, or DSWD involves, so many agencies, including the pawn shops in the different localities, in order to distribute the cash. Now we are compelling them, instead of giving cash, they must buy rice. Why can we not just enroll the farmers in this special program and distribute cash to them? The farmers, ma'am, not anyone else. The farmers being enrolled in a special list similar to the four-piece, and be given directly the cash, 600 pesos, let's say.
Mr. President, I think this is a temporary thing because there is just an adjustment period for the rice tariffication law, and we think that after 2 years, the Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund will really help the farmer be competitive to our neighbors which are exporting rice to the Philippines, and that is Vietnam.
Yes,
that was
ma'am.
responded to by the Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund. But we will start implementing the Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund today that will help them mechanize and help them produce inbred seeds which will increase their harvest by 50%. But that would take time, and we are doing this just to soften the landing of our small farmers before we can really see the result of the Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund.
We have no debate with that, Mr. President. We have to subsidize our farmers and assist them achieving competitiveness. I guess what we are saying is, isn't it a more efficient way of assisting them by giving them cash directly? Because as long as they are the farmer beneficiaries listed in a four-piece program, it can be a specialist, so that all the farmers who are in the specialist, from whom the rice should have been purchased or the palay should have been purchased, will be the one given the subsidy, Mr. President. Is it not a better system and a more efficient
I
system?
think the government may do that next year because under the rice tarification law, the money will come from anything that will be in excess of 10 billion in our
Yes.
tarification, budget, the money we will raise from tarification. So maybe next year, because this is only the first year, we will know how much we raise beyond 10 billion, and that they can make a program wherein you will give to the farmers. Personally, Mr. President, I don't know if you agree with me, I never like giving money. I like giving them opportunity to have livelihoods, to be better in what they're doing, because that will be more permanent.
Yes.
Because just giving money, maybe they will not try anymore to be good because there is always money at hand.
All right. What we are okay, the second area of concern, Mr. President, is the logistical issue. You give, assuming that you give 600 pesos equivalent, ilan pong kilos yan ng bigas?
20 kilos.
20 kilos.
Maybe we will give na the last 3 months.
Sorry?
60 kilos. We will simplify. We will just release the money and give 60 kilos for the last 3 months because we only
60.
have 3 months.
So 60 kilos. 60 kilos po, ma'am? Rice?
Rice.
60 kilos of rice. 60 kilos. How
It's more than 1 sack of rice.
That's correct. It's more than 1 sack of rice. And the farmer beneficiaries of this program will go to the warehouses of the NFA and
It can be arranged that they go to the retailers of NFA. This is a pilot project, Mr. President. I think it's worth our try. And anyway, it's the last 3 months of the year. If we find that it is not successful, then we can think of other ways. But it's the last 3 months of the year, and I think we'll do it only in 7 regions. Kasi yung ibang regions, short of rice sila. We will do it lang dun sa mas malaki ang production ng rice nila kaysa yung nagagamit nilang rice. And these are Region 1, Region 2, Region 3, Region 4B, Region 6, Region 11, Region 9, and Region 12.
so, okay, just for the last 3 months.
Yeah, for the last 3 months.
After this, unless there is another resolution,
No, we will
Well,
indicate it in the
yes.
budget, the General Appropriations Act for 2020. If we are successful, they will have a indication in the budget that we will give rice instead of instead of cash.
for the whole 4-piece program?
Yes.
Wow.
No,
If we-
no.
the whole-
But we are not doing this to everybody. We are just doing it in places where there is excess rice.
Yes,
And
well-
I said there are only 7 regions. We will indicate pa the province where they are located. Sana tulungan tayo ng ating senador kasi nakikita ko po dito sa Visayas, ang only na maaapektuhan ho ay Region 6. And I think that is Iloilo and Negros Occidental.
Yes, marami
Oo.
din po
So
mga-
gagawin lang natin to sa Iloilo at sa Negros Occidental. The others we will not do because yung rice nila mas konti pa do sa consumption nila.
All right. So it will again be reviewed in January.
In January, yes.
In January when we, or in next month in December, because,
Yes.
or in December when we discuss and debate on the budget.
Yes.
Yes, why, okay, in Iloilo, yes, I do appreciate, of course, Madam Chair, you're also from Iloilo. I mean, in fact.
Adapted. You are the
Adapted.
real Ilonggo.
Yeah, okay. Sige po.
I just married a half Ilonggo.
Pero guwapo.
Guwapo ka rin naman,
Naku.
Mr.
Buboto na nga po ako eh. Ha? Mamaya mag-iba pang isip ko. Okay, Mr. President, on the premise that this is just this resolution authorizing the purchase of rice and the distribution of rice is only for 3 months, I will not raise any objection, but I put on notice that if this is again in the budget for 2020, I will have a lot of concerns, particularly on the
Logistics.
logistical expense that we will have to undertake, which will be a reduction of the benefit to the beneficiaries. Because if right now, if I recall correctly, the for every 100 pesos of 4-piece program budget, 100 pesos, 10 pesos would go to overhead logistical expense. I do not know how much more do we have to reduce the what is granted to the beneficiaries because of a higher logistical cost. So I reserve my right to again raise this issue when the 2020 budget is on the floor. In the meantime, Mr. President, as this is only for the next 3 months, we will raise no objection at this point. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Thank
Majority
you very
Leader.
much, Mr. President, for your understanding.
All right, Senator, the President Pro Tem, Senator Ralph Recto is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a few clarifications on the committee report and on this proposal. Would the gentle lady from Las Piñas and the entire country yield to a few questions?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yes. The purpose of this measure is to buy rice from our farmers. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And we will be using the budget allocated for several departments.
Yes.
The first.
Yung other departments po, pinakita na nila mga 3B.
Yes.
Oh, but
So-
they have spent 2/3.
Yes, so the biggest of which is DSWD, and based on the interpolation earlier, we're talking of about 7 billion.
6B, yeah.
6B for DSWD, okay? And the rice program of DSWD, which is given in cash, is how much a year? 31 billion?
600 times 12. So...
No, the total budget a year is about 31
no,
billion.
31 billion.
Okay? So 31 billion, if 7B, that's 28, that means what? The admin cost is 3 billion to give the cash
No,
assistance?
It's 31B, it's 600 pesos, 30 kilos. So
No.
you buy, 20 kilos, you buy at an average of 30 per kilo from the farmer.
No, I understand
the rice.
that. The point is, let's repeat. How many beneficiaries in the SWD?
4.4,
4.4 million families.
yes.
So yun lang ba ang total beneficiaries natin sa conditional cash transfer?
Iyon po ang
Families,
latest.
4.4 million. So 4.4 million families get something like 3,000 pesos a month. Is that correct?
600 times 12.
No, 3,000 a month, 2,004 yung
600
cash.
times 12 is
No, let
around
me repeat.
5,000.
How much do they get in a month yung total conditional cash transfer? Hindi ho ba roughly 3,000 a month?
No, yung ano yun, 1.5 yata, tapos may education.
Yes,
But this
600,
rice subsidy is
We will get to that.
600 pesos
Yes,
a
we will
month.
we will get to that. Ulitin ko lang, it's roughly 3,000 pesos a month.
Mm-hmm.
Of the 3,000, 600 is rice. Is that correct?
Rice, yes.
So that's 20%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, babawasan natin yung 4.4 million ng 20% na natatanggap nila because sasabihin natin, for the remainder of the year, ibibigay natin sa inyo
Na bigas.
bigas. Okay? Alam na ba ng 4.4 million na CCT beneficiaries ito? Do they know of this potential program? Nababawasan natin
Talaga
20%.
namang rice subsidy yun eh. In the first place, it should have been rice, not cash.
No. Today, since we've done this, it's always been cash. At a big portion of the 3,000 naman, ginagastos naman talaga pambili ng pagkain.
Yeah.
Pambigas, pang pagkain, kung ano man ang kailangan nila sa pamilya nila. Kaya nga may conditional cash transfer. Pumasok kayo sa eskwela, ito may baon yung anak ninyo. Bumili kayo ng bigas, bumili kayo ng pagkain. A part of this also goes to rice.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So that's the first, ha? Babawasan natin ng 20%. With the promise na ibibigay natin yung bigas. Yung cash, pag binibigay yan, nade-delay yan ng roughly a quarter din. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Okay? So baka naman mas malaki yung delay pag sako ng bigas lang ibibigay. Mas
We will
madali
be
ibigay yung cash eh.
reeling. We will do oversight on this. I promise you, we will watch over NFA to make sure that we
Okay.
will succeed in
And
this.
the process is, let me go on first before I get to the process. Aside from DSWD, what is listed down here is DILG.
Because they have also rice subsidy to their employees.
We're talking about, what, the 200,000 policemen.
Nasaan yung listahan? Pardon?
When you say DILG, are we referring to the PNP?
Bureau of Fire Protection, Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, Philippine National Police.
Correct. So
And the
uniform
budget
personnel.
is for the year 1.7 billion.
For the entire year.
Yes.
1.7.
Divided by 4,
Okay.
400 million.
So
ang
today they're
natitira.
getting this in terms of cash.
Yes.
Okay? And now we're promising them, magkakabigas kayo pero kukunin ninyo.
Yes.
Okay? And then what's listed down here also is Department of National Defense.
Yes, they have Philippine Army, Philippine Air Force, Philippine Navy, General Headquarters with a budget of 1,128
Okay?
billion.
And this is roughly 300,000 of them.
Yes.
And we're saying, okay, kakaltasan natin yung benepisyo ninyo na cash, kukunin nyo ngayon ang bigas, kukunin ninyo sa retailer namin o sa warehouse namin.
I think yung mga konti naman, they can buy as a department and distribute.
To 300,000.
Kasi kilala naman nilang employees nila. Ito kasing
Yes.
CCTV,
but that's the-
CCT beneficiary, hindi to kilala ng NFA kasi families
Correct.
to. But
So,
sila, kilala
ulitin ko.
naman nila yung empleyado
So,
nila.
200,000 PNP personnel, bibigyan natin ng 20 kilos buwan-buwan.
Yes.
And
Maybe we can give it
300,000,
one time because the budget is for the year.
yes. Pero ang DBM din, hindi naman sabay-sabay rinirelease yung perang ito. Is that correct? Hindi naman in the beginning of the year, rinilis na yung pera to dahil araw-araw kinokolekta ng BIR to at ng Bureau of Customs. Ang budget is only authority to spend. Hindi ibig sabihin nandiyan na yung cash yan. Isn't that correct?
I guess during the last 3 months of the year, I think the DBM will be giving the final budget of the department.
Not necessarily, Mr. President.
But remember,
Normally,
this
buwan-buwan
is
ang-
PS. This is part of PS.
Yes, that's correct.
Oo.
That's
So
correct.
ito yung nauuna.
So,
Oo.
pag ito, ginawa mong bigas, hindi na siya PS. Is that correct?
Hindi, PS pa rin.
Hindi na. Pagka
Kasi
procurement
ilalabas sa
na
kanila
yan,
na pera and then bibili lang sila
may
ng bigas.
accounting
ibibigay.
issue yan, ha? From PS,
I hope-
gagawin mong...
I hope we're just helping, we're just helping the local farmers.
Yes, I have no problem
To
with-
adjust to the RTF.
Yes, I have no problem with helping the local farmers, Mr. President. Okay? If the problem is brought about by the rice tarification, which I support,
Yes.
okay? Then we did put a provision in the 2019 budget under unprogram for foreseen events such as this. May 10 billion naman tayong linagay dun. Why not just release 10 billion from the unprogrammed fund of the 2019 budget and give it to the farmers? Mas madali yun, palagay ko. O kung pwede, in cash o ibili yung bigas nila. Meron naman tayo linagay sa 10 billion sa unprogram Why do it convoluted? That's only my point. Now, let me move on. So, we discussed
Why
DSWD.
we're just trying it
Yes.
for the last 3 months of the year. I hope
I'm willing to work with the gentle lady.
They're doing it in other countries. In Thailand, they
Yes, but the
feeding
problem is- yes,
6 million children of 200 ml of milk every day, and they are able to do it. And because of that, Thailand now is producing 70% of their milk demand. So I hope now we will adjust something. We will do something like that in the Philippines. Because for your
supportive.
information,
Yes.
our milk production in the Philippines is 1% of demand.
Yes.
And we are importing 99%. I hope we can do
Yes.
something
Most-
like that so that we can improve on
Yes.
our agriculture.
Yeah, in fact, most of the milk production in the Philippines is from Batangas also.
Yes.
that
You
correct?
have in Padre Burgos.
Padre Garcia and
Padre
Lipa.
Garcia.
In
Yes.
fact, most of the milk you buy in Starbucks is made in Lipa.
Yes, but still, we only produce 1%
Yes,
of
precisely.
our
Is
milk
Is that cow's
demand.
milk?
Yes, it is cow's milk. That is correct. Now,
What about Carabao's milk?
we also do have Carabao's milk. Quezon Puti, pang breakfast po yun. So having said that, Mr. President, now let us move on. So, then Department of Transportation. How many employees
The
are we
Philippine
talking
Coast
about?
Guard, 66 million.
Okay, and ilang tao naman dito?
Walang data po sa
Wala.
number of Philippine Coast Guard.
Okay, so remember, we're going to distribute all this rice to all these people. Okay, now next, Department of Environment and Natural Resources,
1.8 billion.
1.8 million. Local government units,
I think the local government units have really participated. There are now 30 provincial governors who have been who will buy rice from the rice farmers for their use, and they are being given a credit by the land bank at 2% a month, so
Okay.
that they can finance their buying of
Okay.
local rice.
and what are we saying here? You want all these departments, all this budget, bibili sila sa NFA.
Hindi, yung mga local government, they're buying directly because they
Directly.
know the landscape.
Okay?
Oo.
No, but I'm looking at the title and how the resolution is written. There is no distinction here.
Yeah,
far
the
as the
NFA
local-
will be used by the
Correct.
Department of Social Welfare and Development,
Correct.
the NFA.
Yeah, but
Kasi
like I
hindi
said-
nila masyadong kilala yung CCT
Yeah.
beneficiary.
But like I said,
and
how
they do
the
not know the
resolution-
local landscape.
How the
Yes.
resolution is written, there is no distinction.
Maybe we can make that
Yes,
distinction.
and that's why I'm asking these questions. To have
We will
this
give more
distinction.
freedom to the others except yung DSWD.
Okay? And then, of course, the local government units. Okay, now, having said that, the process that the sponsor wants to accomplish here is that all this money, hopefully, the DBM can bring everything out, give it to the departments. All these departments will go into a MOA with the NFA.
I think the departments can do it themselves kasi mas kilala nila yung local. Yung DSWD lang ang mahirap. Oo.
Okay.
So maybe that we can
Okay, let's
make the
start-
exception
okay.
that the other departments and the local government can do it on their own, whether they want to do it themselves or whether they want to pass through NFA. But definitely,
Yeah, okay, so
sinabi
let's-
na ng DSWD, they will pass through NFA.
Yes, so the DSWD will now give it to will come out with a MOA with the NFA.
Yes.
Will purchase from the NFA. And today, the NFA has stocks, is that correct?
Yes, but we are asking them to sell their stocks and so that they can be able to buy from the local
Yes.
farmers also.
And the stocks of the NFA today came from where?
They imported
So imported.
before the passage of the rice
Correct.
tarification.
So the stocks in the NFA warehouse today are imported. They did not come from the local farmers.
Yeah,
Okay?
but that is a problem already that we are solving.
Yes, so the question is, pwede bang ibigay ng NFA sa DSWD? Hindi galing din sa local
sa
rice
stock
farmer,
nila,
pero galing
I
sa stock
think,
nila,
Ang
imported.
stock nila, kalahati coming from the imported and another half coming from the local
From the
farmers.
local,
So
okay.
they just give to the local
So that's why
farmers.
it's important to know, ano yung
It's,
stock saan ang galing? Kasi kung baka galing sa
213,000
imported
metric
din, hindi rin nakatulong sa local. So that's
According
one.
to their
Yeah.
report, their stock now is 426,000 metric tons and 213 came from importation and 213,000 came from the local farmers.
So kalahati from the imported. And that's 400,000. Ilan bang kailangan natin dito? What is the volume
Ano
for
ba
all
tong
of this?
volume na to? 6 billion, kung 6 billion ang gagamitin,
Divided by-
divided by 30, the 6 billion divided
Can you
by
do the-
30 is, how much is that? Ilang kilos yun?
Okay, anyway,
30,
we can easily do the math.
200,000 kilos. So,
200,000.
malit lang yon
Sa
relative to the
DSWD pa
stock
lang
of
yun.
the NFA.
Okay. Okay. So maliit din yung maitutulong nito sa
Yeah.
rice farmer.
Para lang, wag naman
Kung
sabihin
maliit
ng
din
mga
yung
farmers
value
that we didn't do anything to help them.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
that's very
kung 6
important.
billion to, why not just get the 10 billion under the program? Mas malaki pa rin yun.
Who will? Na-release na daw yung program to other for
No, there's a lot of unprogrammed funds. I think for this year, it's roughly 100 billion. Next year, it will be 200 billion.
Kasi we will have this certified by the President today, so we can pass it tomorrow because the harvest season is, ito na.
Yes. I'm just giving
and so,
also,
we want to be able to do something for the harvest season. If we are going to look for funds and then do it and do that, the harvest season will be over.
all I'm saying is that there's
our
also...
papers now are with the President Duterte. He will
Yes.
certify the bill so we can pass it tomorrow and we can implement it in time for the harvest season.
Okay. So same thing, no? There is also...
Maybe
there are-
we can talk about that next budget.
No, not necessarily, Mr. President, because I want to talk about it now. Because there is a 10 billion in the unprogrammed
But
as well.
it will take time
I think that's faster. This will take more time.
to tomorrow we will pass this and this will be implemented.
doesn't
Now,
mean
if
that-
you can take
It doesn't
money
it doesn't mean,
from
Mr.
the
President.
program funds to help the farmers, then we'll do it
Yes.
tomorrow.
What I'm saying is that it doesn't mean that we pass this tomorrow, ergo, we bought all the rice from the farmers tomorrow. Hindi rin ganun ang ibig sabihin nito eh. Now, let me continue, Mr. President. So, in effect, okay, we gave the money to the NFA, and we're not assured if the NFA will use the stocks bought from the local farmers. Karamihan imported yung nandun sa kanila eh. Ibibigay din. Now,
Okay.
let's assume that they will buy from the local farmers.
There's an opinion here that if you cannot reach the income of the government for the year, you cannot release the unprogrammed funds.
It depends on which revenue source, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Every
So-
year, ginagastos yung unprogrammed fund. There are many ways. Kung gusto ng gobyerno, pwede lang gastusin.
Ito naman si ano.
In fact, every year, ginagastos na yung unprogrammed
Ako
fund.
pinahirapan ito.
Okay? Now, having said that, just to move on, let's going back to
Maybe
the
you
process.
want to make addition from the unprogrammed funds. You're very welcome.
We will get to that, Mr. President. Anyway, moving forward, I heard the gentle lady mention that we will do this. I'm trying to work with the sponsor of this measure.
Yes,
Okay?
yes,
There are 7 regions that she wishes to prioritize.
yes.
Okay? There is nothing in the resolution with regard to the 7 regions.
No, it's just my opinion that why will you buy from regions that they produce rice less than their demand?
Precisely, and I agree with you.
So we go to the regions where they produce more rice than their demand.
Okay, and that's
And
why
so
I agree with you.
look at the list of the region and I chose because that is your priority area because that's where they have excess rice.
And I agree with you. All I'm saying is that what the gentle lady mentioned, the economics of it, is not found in the resolution. If you want to do, and I'm willing to support you, to test it
Yes.
and to do it in the certain regions,
In fact, we are forwarding to the DSWD the regions that
Yes.
have excess
no,
rice.
Yeah, because
They
the point is-
prioritize that. you know.
Because the point is, for the logistics to be cheaper, if we do it in those 7 regions,
In
then
fact,
the budget of the CCT on those 7 regions, dun natin gawin.
if you look at the map, there are only, I think,
I agree with you.
provinces. We have Pangasinan,
I agree with you.
Cagayan, Isabela, Nueva Ecija, Tarlac, Mindoro Occidental, Negros Occidental, Iloilo, North Cotabato, and South Cotabato, and I think Bukidnon.
Yes, I agree with you.
So,
So
we
why
will
not
just
pro-
operate in
Yes.
those areas.
So, correct, because that is not found in the resolution. The resolution
Because we are in a
mandates-
hurry, we want to submit the resolution to the president so he can certify it, because if we cannot pass it tomorrow, then the harvest season is over.
Yeah, but it is not our fault. Our fault is to take a look at the resolution and work with the gentle lady and make amendments to the resolution if
Yeah, we
necessary.
can make amendments
If
to
we
the
want this to
resolution.
be prioritized and to be implemented in priority areas,
Yes,
then let's write it in the resolution.
yeah, we will revise the resolution, Mr.
Yes,
President.
that is the point we're trying to make. Now, I am willing to go along with the concept to test it, but maybe subject to those regions,
Yeah, yeah.
okay?
Not any more region, we will
Or
pinpoint
provinces.
the exact provinces.
Okay, so maybe that will be a better way of doing it.
And
because
it
can
is
you
more,
imagine
logistically
Sound.
easy.
sound,
easy.
easier, cheaper than doing it? Let's say, for example, if wala sa Region 4, so saan kukunin ng Batanggenyo? Pupunta sa Region 3.
Mindoro Occidental.
O so, sasakay pa ng barko. Roro.
Or Nueva Ecija and
O di,
Tarlac.
dadaan
No,
ngayon ng
4A eh.
SLEX,
By land lang yun.
dadaan ng EDSA, yung CCT beneficiary ko doon, at pupunta sa Nueva Ecija.
Ngayon naman po, ang
sasakay ng tricycle,
Hindi po.
babalik,
Mr. President,
isang bag at kalahati ng...
today, what you consume in Region 4A really comes from the Northern Luzon.
No, we understand
Walang
that.
other source.
Correct, walang problema.
Wala.
But we're not
So
talking
they've been
about
doing that also.
We're not talking about the CCT beneficiaries there. Diba?
No. Our consumption here in NCR
No, I understand that.
and Region 4A are coming from Tarlac,
I
Nueva
understand
Ecija,
that. Correct. Correct.
Cagayan, Isabela, and Pangasinan.
Correct. I agree with
Nandun
you.
lahat ang kartel.
Wala sa amin.
Wala kayong rice, kaya wala kayong
Wala
kartel.
kaming rice kasi mas malaki ang kinikita namin. Binibili lang namin sa iba.
Sa Iloilo, may kartel din
Mas
dyan.
malaki yung kita namin.
Basta rice producing, maraming kartel
Mas
yan.
mayaman kasi yung Batanggenyo. We don't produce that anymore. Yung sa amin, yung mataas na quality ng bigas. Denorado.
We admire
nabibili
Region
sa
4A
Batangas.
for their livestock
Correct.
na walang
So,
ASF.
kaya binibili na lang namin sa iba. So, having said that,
Huwag mo
Mr.
na akong
President,
pahirapan. Pinuri na kita.
with that, Mr. President, at the appropriate time, we will suggest amendments to work with the gentle sponsor if the intention is, and to keep the cost down,
Yes.
because kung masyado malaki ang cost, mas mabuti pang ibigay mo na lang cash sa farmers. Yun ang
Yeah.
sinasabi ko. Ngayon, we can make the amendments working with the concept of the gentle lady to make it, have a reasonable chance of making it work. Following the concept of where the regions, dun lang ang mga area that we can have as a pilot to test it. Now, I don't know if it's a wise idea to include the PNP, the armed forces. Maybe let's test it with the DSWD.
Yes. Pardon?
Maybe we can test it with the DSWD in those particular regions.
Yes.
Pero
yes.
wag na natin guluhin yung sa PNP, sa military. Maybe DSWD lang.
Bakit hindi natin ilagay na kung gusto nila?
Oh. Well,
Okay,
I have no
sige.
problem kung gusto nila. Ang ayaw ko, sinasabi natin kailangan ninyong gawin to.
Okay. We'll make revision.
It is a mandate. So thank you for the distinguished sponsor for allowing this representation to ask a few questions. Because at the end of the day,
But the local
we're talking about
governments
people's- people's money.
indicate.
So thank you.
We indicate the local government because they're doing it naman.
Yes.
They're already doing it.
So that's fine with me. If the local governments are doing it, basta't hindi natin pinipilit
Yeah. Okay.
yung other local government units. Thank you very much, Mr.
Okay. Senator Pangilinan, Sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. May we know if the
Yes,
good
yes.
senator is willing to yield to a few questions?
Can we ask for one
The
minute?
session is suspended.
kasi sila sa bigay ng pera. Yun ang ako talaga, I never believe in it. Kasi ako, pinaghihirapan ko yung pera ko. Kaya gusto ko, yung mga tao, paghirapan din nila yung ang pera nila. Kasi yung price nila, maganda din. Di ba, like yung aking mga weaver, with price. Because they earn their own keep. Babalik, wala na si So.
SP? Ah, boss. Sports tayo, sports. Yes, ma'am, I agree with you. I agree with you. Ready to resume, Mr. President.
Session is resumed.
Mr. President, with the permission of the body, I move to suspend temporarily consideration of Senate Joint Resolution number 8. I so move.
Is there any objection? There being none, motion's approved.
Mr. President, I move that we transfer from the calendar of ordinary business. May I move for additional reference of business, Mr. President?
The
Additional
Secretariat
reference.
is directed for the additional reference of business.
Second additional reference of business, committee report. Committee report number 12, prepared and submitted jointly by the Committees on Basic Education, Arts and Culture, Sports, Ways and Means, and Finance on Senate number 1086 with Senators Angara, Go, Cayetano, and Gatchalian as authors thereof, entitled, An Act Creating and Establishing the Philippine High School for Sports and Providing Funds therefore, recommending its approval in substitution of Senate numbers 330, 397, 506, and 732, sponsor Senator Gatchalian.
That's it, Mr. President. With the permission of the body.
To the
I move
calendar for ordinary business.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
I move that we transfer the calendar of ordinary business to the calendar for special orders, committee report number 12, Mr. President, under Senate Bill number 1086.
Is there any objection? There being none, motion's approved.
Mr. President, I move that we consider Senate Bill number 1086 on the committee report number 12. I so
Is
move
there-
it. Direct the Secretary to read
The
the title.
Secretariat is directed.
An act creating and establishing the Philippine High School for Sports and providing funds therefore.
Mr. President, I move that we recognize the sponsor of the measure, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, the chairman of the Committee on Basic Education.
Senator Gatchalian is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, esteemed peers in the Senate, good afternoon to you all. Mr. President, the most universally understood language is not English, French, or Chinese. It is sport. Sport is the international lingua franca of competition, cooperation, and mutual respect. It is a timeless source of national pride and accomplishment. For the youth, it is a potent shaper of character. For everyone, it is a powerful vehicle for improving health and well-being. Filipinos love sport, Mr. President. At community basketball courts in barangays across the country, we can find young men and women playing a casual game or going all out in a community tournament as they pursue their hoops dreams. At empty lots and grassy fields, we can find young ones kicking around a soccer ball. And whenever our world champion colleague, Pambansang Kamao Senator Manny Pacquiao, has a fight, Metro Manila practically becomes a ghost town as everyone crowds in front of their TV screens to watch him take down his opponents. In fact, Mr. President, I think one of the best ways to solve the traffic crisis in Metro Manila would be to schedule a Manny Pacquiao fight on every weekday. Mr. President, despite our collective love for sports, sometimes it can feel like sports does not love us back. Despite the valiant efforts of our Gilas Filipina squad, the Philippines finished in last place as the recently concluded 2019 FIBA World Cup. Since the Philippines began participating in the Summer Olympic Games in 1924, our athletes have only won 10 medals and not a single gold medal. Of the 13 Philippine athletes to participate in the 2016 Olympics in Rio de Janeiro, the impressive silver medal finish of Heidelin Diaz in women's weightlifting was our country's lone spot in the podium in any event. So, who or what is to blame for the lackluster performance of our athletes on the national stage? Certainly not the athletes themselves. Our athletes deserve nothing but the highest respect and admiration of the Filipino people for representing our country with pride and honor. The problem, however, is that our athletes deserve more than just respect and admiration from the government. They deserve the same type of financial, infrastructural, and policy support from the government that other countries bestow upon their athletes. Unfortunately, the Philippines has often failed to do this. While many foreign governments spend tens of billions of pesos in support of their athletes, so far only a measly 207 million pesos has been allocated to the Philippine Sports Commission in the proposed 2020 budget. This is just one example of how we have come up short in giving our athletes the support they deserve. In this context, Mr. President, I am very proud to sponsor Senate Bill number 1086, otherwise known as the Philippine High School for Sports Act of 2019, because it signifies that change is coming to the realm of Philippine sports. Mr. President, this measure, principally authored by Senator Bongo, Senator Sani Angara, Senator Pia Cayetano, and most recently Senator Joel Villanueva, and yours truly, of course, seeks to train and develop future generations of world champion Philippine athletes. It will establish a dedicated national high school offering a secondary course with special emphasis on developing athletic skills of the students through subjects pertaining to physical education and sports development. Ultimately, the end in view of this legislation is to unleash the potential of young Filipinos who have shown early potential of excelling in sports for a sports-related career. The Philippine High School for Sports is envisioned to be a world-class educational and athletics facility to be constructed by the Basis Conversion and Development Authority at the new Clark City in Capas, Tarlac. PHSS will be under the supervision of the Department of Education, which has already expressed its unequivocal support for the establishment of the school. As such, the Board of Trustees of PHSS will be chaired by the Secretary of Education. The chairperson of the Philippine Sports Commission will serve as vice chair, and the following as members of the board: the director of the PHSS, one representative each from the House of Representatives and the Senate, the president of the Philippine Olympic Committee, and 3 representatives from the different POC-accredited National Sports Association to be nominated by the respective sports association and appointed by the chairperson of the board. Meanwhile, an executive council consisting of the PHSS director, the assistant director, the heads of department of PHSS, and such other ranking faculty members or officials of PHSS as may be determined by the board shall be constituted to screen and select the students subject for admission, select students who shall be recipients of scholarships, stipend, and other allowances, and develop the school curriculum and rules of discipline of the institution. To supplement the general funding of the school undertaken by the government through the General Appropriations Act, the bill also establishes the Sports High School Fund. All income and monetary donations derived by PHSS shall be retained by the school in said fund and shall be expended as authorized by the board exclusively to fund the maintenance and programs of PHSS. All in all, Mr. President, I firmly believe that the establishment of the Philippine High School for Sports is a crucial first step towards achieving Philippine excellence in international athletics and providing our athletes with the support they deserve as our representatives on the international stage. Noting for the record that the passage of this bill was one of the legislative priorities outlined by President Rodrigo Duterte in his 2019 State of the Nation address, I respectfully join Senators Go, Angara, Cayetano, and Villanueva in advocating for the swift approval of this measure by this esteemed chamber. Thank you, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, may we recognize the distinguished gentleman from Davao, Senator Christopher Bongo.
Senator Go is recognized to co-sponsor the measure.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. As Committee Chairman on Sports, Mr. President, I rise to express my full and unwavering support for Senate Bill number 1086 under Committee Report number 12, creating the Philippine High School for Sports. Since the beginning, I've been very vocal and public about my advocacy of passing this legislative measure through my filing of Senate Bill 397 last July. Even before I became fortunate enough to be part of this honorable chamber, sports has always had a place very close to my heart. Time and again, I have publicly supported various programs and initiatives for the advancement of Philippine sports, from my all-out support as part of the delegation for the Gilas Pilipinas to finding ways to supplement the training of our very own Hidilyn Diaz. I proudly display my support for Philippine sports. Mr. President, the Constitution itself provides that the state shall give priority to educations, science and technology, arts, culture, and sports to foster patriotism and nationalism, accelerate social progress, and promote total human liberation and development. The Constitution explicitly provides that the state shall promote physical education and encourage sports programs, league competitions, and amateur sports, including training for international competitions, to foster self-discipline, teamwork, and excellence for the development of a healthy and alert citizenry. Clearly, Mr. President, the significance of sports and education was not lost on the framers of our Constitution. This is the reason, Mr. President, that I firmly believe that it is high time that we vigorously push for the passage of this measure, which to others is 30 years too late. I believe that with the passion, dedication, and the Filipino people's inherent love for sports, we will be able to catch up with the rest of the world in terms of sports development. Through the PHSS, we will be able to provide full and partial scholarships to our youth who have shown potential in excelling in the field of sports. Through the specialized curriculum developed by the Department of Education, we will be able to provide quality education in core subjects such as math, science, while simultaneously placing equal emphasis on developing athletic skills through subjects on physical education and sports development. It is a reality for some of our gifted young athletes to experience difficulty in accessing quality education through scholarship grants. Mr. President, we will be able to provide an avenue for them to gain quality education while developing their skills and talents in sports through world-class training. Moreover, with the creation of PHSS in very close proximity to world-class facilities, as you can see on the screen, our student athletes can enjoy a level of training which is at par with the best in the world. This type of training and education can catapult our students, athletes to illustrious careers in sports, whether as athletes, coaches, managers, or any sports-related profession. Mr. President, this advocacy of mine is also shared by President Duterte, and in fact, such is the passion of his support for this measure that this bill was included in the 2019 State of the Nation address. In pushing for the passage of this measure, I have closely coordinated with the agencies such as the Philippine Sports Commission, the Department of Education, Department of Budget and Management, and of course, the Bases Conversion and Development Authority to ensure that this bill is passed shall allow us to hit the ground running. They all share the same enthusiasm we do in pursuing this dream. The framework is there and the foundation is laid. All that we must do is to give this bill a chance to come into fruition. At the end of the day, I honestly and humbly believe that this is an endeavor which can all be proud to have been part of. I urge my colleagues in this august body to come together in support of this measure for the benefit of our youth and for the benefit of Philippine sports. I would like to thank the honorable sponsor and chairman of the Committee on Basic Education, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, for showing equal passion and dedication for the development of Philippine sports and our youth. I fervently urge my colleagues in this honorable chamber to support this measure, alang-alang po sa ating kabataan at para na rin po sa ating pagbabalik sa tuktok ng mundo sa palakasan. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Go. Senator Pia is recognized, also for a co-sponsorship speech.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a happy day for me because I drafted and filed this bill 9 years ago. I was so much younger then and ran so much faster, but so did the presiding officer. It's no secret that I am a believer in sports, and I believe that sports can change lives. I am proud to be a member of a Senate where majority of the members include sports in their lives. Needless to say, I need to wait, there we go. Needless to say, Senator Manny Pacquiao is considered one of the greatest professional boxers of all times. The Senate President, Philippine national team bowling, garnered gold several times and currently is a golf enthusiast who still continues to win tournaments. Our Majority Floor Leader, Migs, champion, national champion, and 1989 world champion. I saw the video and I wish we could play it, but please interpolate me later on so I can play that world championship, the winning moves. I think a few kilos lighter. And then we have our never say die basketball players. Senator Joel Villanueva, a UST Growling Tiger UAAP champion 1994-1995 and Philippine national team. And then Senator Sani Angara, who is part of the Senate Defenders. That is the official name of our basketball team. Senator Bongo, who brings serious professionalism to the games that he plays with the likes of my brother. He was part of the roster of the Muntinlupa Cagers in the Maharlika Basketball League, a pro league started by Senator Manny Pacquiao. Senator Kiko Pangilinan, my batchmate in UP, we were both UP volleyball maroons, and he was also a track and field runner, a track runner. Next is Senator Ralph Recto. I approached him to ask for a picture. That is not actually his main sport, but that is his current sport. Correct? I am correct.
Correct.
But his sport as a young athlete included soccer, swimming, and taekwondo. So again, please interpolate me so that I can put the pictures of Senator the appropriate pictures of Senator Recto while I am defending this bill. And then our principal, our main sponsor, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian. That was I actually failed to get the full description, but the picture speaks for itself. And yours truly, a UP Maroon and national team player for volleyball as well. Anyway, so now that I have put you all in a better mood, the sad reality we face, Mr. President, is that many of our young athletes who show talent are usually forced to choose between an education and sports. That window where they can shine as an athlete is not open for a long time. They must take advantage of that moment in time, and if they miss it, that moment is gone. Because of that, some choose to give up schooling. Others give up their sports. Those who give up schooling take a huge risk. Betting on sports alone for your future is a shot in the dark. Not everyone gets to be a Manny Pacquiao. After their moment in the limelight without an education, they have little to fall back on. I'd like to share another story, which is the story of many athletes today. One of my lawyers, Joey Ganya Teves, she made it to the Philippine volleyball youth team. But her teachers did not believe in sports and considered her absent every time she attended practices and threatened to fail her when she had to leave for 1 week to compete in the Asian Youth Games. She then made the choice to go to the games and was very much impressed, but at the same time saddened that other countries like Singapore and Malaysia had a national sports high school where they were able to study and do the sport they love at the same time. This need not happen, Mr. President. In countries that take sports seriously, they start at a young age. Those who show talent are given the chance to train with the best coaches and with equally talented and driven athletes. They're able to do that because they have sports centers all over the country and they have sports schools, high schools, and universities. National sports schools, high schools, and universities. I had the privilege of visiting some of these sports high schools in Germany and Spain. The young athletes were able to focus on their sports and study at the same time. Fast forward, and obviously Senator Bongo and I have the same source of photos. We both have visited New Clark City. This is in I think very early in 2018 when they did some groundbreaking, or this is the initial stages of the construction. Fast forward, not even 2 years later, this is the New Clark City today. This aerial photo was actually taken by Gretchen Ho. I borrowed that from her. If you look at the main circle, that is the stadium, and the track in the middle is the main track. But you will wonder, why is there another track on the upper right side? Well, that is the practice track, the warm-up track. That is required to have that Class 1 certification. And if you look at the next picture I'm about to show, so this is the picture of the actual track and stadium. The next picture, okay, the one on the right is an actual requirement also to get that Class 1 certification. It is an 80-meter indoor track where you warm up just before your event is called. So you have those 2 warm-up tracks in addition to the main track. That is air-conditioned, by the way. I happened to visit a few weeks ago, and those are national track athletes that I was running with. This is the swimming pool. Take note, that is an 8-lane, 50-meter pool, but that is just the warm-up pool. The main pool is 10 lanes and has a bigger capacity. And then on the right side is the diving pool. So together, this is also a world-class certified aqua center, the only one in the country. And this is the dormitories, the same photo that Senator Go showed you. We actually have the national triathlon team and the national track and field team living in these quarters now. And pretty soon, this will be the home of the Southeast Asian Game athletes who will come here to participate in December. New Clark City is the sustainable city that will house our athletes for the SEA Games. And this is also where this sports school will be built. It is envisioned that the students will have access to vocational sports and academic tracks so that each of them can still fulfill their own dream. Mr. President, Senate Bill 506, which I filed, is considered in this committee report. However, my version, Mr. President, specifically has a provision that says that the track will not be limited to sports, because there are athletes who dream to be other things than to be more than athletes. They can be an athlete and they can have other professions as well. Just because I am only familiar with the UP graduates, I use them as an example. Mr. President, UP has produced, among others, 2 summa cum laude graduates, one with a BS in math, summa cum laude, and another one in a BS with sports science, who went on and is currently in her 3rd year of med school in PGH, UP College of Manila. They did this while being in the varsity of UP. The BS math major was a judo player, and the other one was a volleyball player. Assuming that there was a high school for sports when they were younger, it would have been really sad if we limited them to a sports program, because clearly they had the ability and the desire to do something else as well. And that is why we are also pushing for programs beyond sports to be offered in senior high here. Mr. President, I call on your support. Dear colleagues, let us help make these individual dreams come true and at the same time build a nation of winners. Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you,
President.
Senator Pia. Majority Leader.
We'd just like to put on record that, first of all, thank you to the Honorable Lady Senator from Taguig. Thank you for showing my picture there, and you're absolutely correct. That was 10 kilos ago. And, Mr. President, before we suspend consideration of the measure to allow our colleagues to study this further, I believe Senator Joel Villanueva, as well as Senator Sonny Angara, would like to co-sponsor the measure tomorrow when they're back in session, Mr. President. So with that, and if it's with the permission of the sponsors, if I could also be made co-sponsor and co-author of this historic measure, Mr. President, with the permission.
Yes, is there any objection? There being none, motion is approved.
So with that, I move to suspend consideration of Committee Report number 12 under Senate Bill number 1086.
Is there any objection? There being none, motion is approved.
Mr. President, I move that we consider once again the bill of our distinguished colleague, Senator Bongo. This is the establishment of the Malasakit Centers, Senate Bill number 1076. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? There being none, motion is approved.
May we recognize the distinguished sponsor, Senator Bongo, and to interpolate our distinguished Minority Floor Leader, Senator Franklin.
Senator Go is recognized, and the Minority Leader to interpolate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the gentleman sponsor yield the floor to a few clarificatory questions?
Gladly, Mr. President.
Mr. President, my reading of this bill is that it proposes to establish Malasakit centers in all Department of Health hospitals in the country. Mr. President, I was in my home province of Iloilo over the weekend, and as I got into the terminal, airport terminal, I saw a Malasakit center. Is this run? I suppose this is not the Malasakit center contemplated by this bill, because it is not in a DOH hospital.
Mr. President?
Oh.
Can I answer? Not yet? Can I answer? It's not related po. Yung malasakit dyan sa DOTC, it is their own initiative. Maybe para po may malalapitan sila na to help them, to assist them sa terminal po, pero it's not related. Iba po itong malasakit health bill po na ating isinusulong.
Mayroon din bang, are there other malasakit centers in government agencies other than the Department of Health? Because we saw one in the airport terminal in Iloilo. Are there other malasakit centers in other agencies of government?
Maybe, Mr. President, meron po kasi noon basa ko rin po yung malasakit stores. Kahit saan lang po may malasakit. Maybe, yung mga Pilipino natin gusto maglagay ng malasakit dahil nagmamalasakit sila sa kapwa nila, mapabilis yung tindahan. Di ba? Ganoon naman talaga tayo mga Pilipino. Gusto nating tumulong, magmalasakit sa ating kapwa. O maybe ito yung medyo madaling catchy word na malalapitan nila.
So those malasakit centers in
PRC?
places other than the DOH is not covered by this bill.
PRC?
Is that correct, sir?
Meron rin nga po raw sa sa PRC, sa mga regulatory center. Hindi rin po namin alam to, sila na po naglalagay ng malasakit centers through their initiative.
Okay. Now, just limiting ourselves then to the malasakit centers that is established in DOH hospitals, how many of these centers are presently in operation?
Right now, presently, this is a continuing program of President Duterte. Presently, there are 18 DOH-run malasakit centers, and the remaining 24 are locally, meaning LGU, provincial hospitals, or city hospitals run.
So 18 malasakit centers in Department of Health operated hospitals and 24 hospitals operated by LGUs. Is that a correct statement?
Correct, Mr. President.
Now, this bill would cover only the 18 malasakit centers in DOH-managed hospitals.
Correct.
Is that
Right. Akin yung sa bill, about sa bill. Ito naman pong ipapasa nating bill. Sa ngayon po, ang DOH-run hospitals, ito po yung Vicente Soto Memorial Medical Center in Cebu, Eastern Visayas Regional Medical Center in Tacloban, and Western Visayas Medical Center in your hometown, Senator Drilon. Ito po yung first 3 malasakit centers na binuksan. Yung Iloilo and then yung Bacolod. For the information of everybody, Senator Drilon is my distant relative. I'm also related to Ilonggo, Bongo.
Okay, so going back to our bill, Mr. President, just for the record, there are the 24 hospitals run by the LGUs. Are they covered by these provisions of the bill once it becomes law, or only the 18 run by the DOH? Because the way I read it, it would only cover 18.
Ganito po yun. Sa ngayon, uunahin muna natin po yung 72 DOH-run hospitals.
How many, sir?
72 DOH-run hospitals. And then, we will set a criteria para doon sa mga LGUs. And then, that said hospitals meet the following standards and criteria. Ito po yung mga guaranteed availability of funds for the operations of Malasakit Center, including its maintenance and other operating expenses, personnel complement, including staff training, performance assessment, and monitoring. So, unahin muna natin yung ating DOH run, and then we will set criteria. Sa ngayon po kasi, sir, ang dami pong gustong magbukas ng mga malasakit centers without notice. Even sa Isabela, naglagay na lang sila bigla ng malasakit center sa hospital nila. Hindi po ito sanctioned nung malasakit center ni President Duterte. Yun po ang gusto nating iwasan. Kasi kung magbubukas sila at wala naman pong mga personnel, like our plan na maglagay po ng personnel from DOH, DSWD, PhilHealth at PCSO. And then, why we are putting DOH hospitals only sa ngayon? Bakit unahin natin? During our meeting with agencies involved, it was determined that it would be more feasible if malasakit centers will be established initially in DOH hospitals because of funding and personal constraints. LGU hospitals and other public hospitals may put malasakit centers provided that they follow certain criteria, including providing personnel for the center, infrastructure, and staff training.
And if they do not follow these standards, they cannot use the name Malasakit Center.
Yes, that's why we will institutionalize Malasakit Center. Kasi ang mangyayari po, Mr. President, pag nagbukas sila at wala namang personnel, magre-reflect po yun bakit walang tao. Bungi-bungi yung malasakit, kulang-kulang yung mga personnel, walang PCSO, wala. That's why, unahin muna natin yung mga DOH run kasi kumpleto sila. And then meron na hong public assistance unit ang DOH. Sila po yung magmamanage ng malasakit centers. And then yung 4 agencies like PCSO, PhilHealth, DSWD will have their own table dun sa bahay lang po itong malasakit center. Wala pong funds na ilalagay dito. Ang mangyayari po, Senator Dillon, sa isang bahay, gagawa tayo ng bahay, nandiyan na po yung 4 na katulong. Doon po yung mag-a-assist po dun sa mga pasyente at hindi na ho sila kailangan pang pumunta sa iba't ibang lugar para humingi ng tulong. Isang araw lang tapos na po yung proseso nila. Kung before, kung wala pong malasakit center, sa isang linggo, Lunes, pupunta ho sila ng DSWD. Martes po, pupunta sila ng DOH. Miyerkules, pupunta sila ng PCSO. Huwebes po, pupunta sila ng PhilHealth. Ubos yung panahon nila, ubos pa yung pamasahe nila. Now, with malasakit center, dun sa loob, kung nandoon yung DSWD, ang DSWD pa po ang magbibigay ng pamasahe sa kanila.
Kaya nga po, sabi natin na Ginoong Pangulo, noong nakaraang sesyon, hindi po tayo tutol dito sa panukalang batas. Ibig ko lang po malaman ang detalya ng konti bago po natin ipasa. So, just from the answers of the good gentleman, there are 18 malasakit centers operating in the country as within the DOH hospital. So, another 54 is intended to be established. Is that a correct statement, sir?
Correct, Mr. President. Kasi po yung 72 run, ito po yung magiging beneficiary ng Universal Healthcare Law. Halimbawa po, for example, meron kayong bill sa hospital ninyo, 300,000. Hindi naman po kaya sagutin ng Universal Healthcare yan. Sasagutin ng Universal Healthcare is only 45,000. So, yung DSWD po, pwede silang magbigay ng 20,000. Ang DOH, pwede silang magbigay ng 20,000. Ang PCSO, pwede silang magbigay ng 20,000. So, a total of 105,000. And then finally po, yung kung may usually mga malasakit centers, minsan iniiwanan ng pera ng mga local government, pwede rin tumulong yon. Ang target po ng malasakit center, zero balance. Tutulong, mag-a-assist lang po siya, pero hindi po siya maghahawak ng pera.
Okay. Very good concept. Now, so this is sort of a one-stop shop for our countrymen who would need assistance for medical purposes. Is that correct, sir? A
Correct.
one-stop shop.
Correct, Mr. President.
All right. Now, would the gentleman, Mr. President, would the gentleman sponsor kindly walk us through the process of availing of the services of the malasakit centers. Because right now, we have also a public assistance unit right here in the Senate. And we established this during the time that this representation was the Senate President. And the process that we have here, to my understanding, is that when a constituent of the senator would need medical assistance, he would go, or he or she would go to the public assistance unit here in the Senate. He would be given what we call a referral letter, and that the client or the constituent would now go to the medical institution where the referral letter is addressed, to whom the referral letter is addressed, and they can avail of the services there. This is the present process that I know in our public assistance unit. May we know how different the Malasakit Center process is, Mr. President?
This is the process of the Malasakit Center. First, medical social work, it's on the screen. Medical social worker accepts requests for assistance from patient. Next, patient fills out standard and unified form and provides requirements. Third, interview and assessment of patient by the medical social worker. Fourth, medical social worker facilitates assistance requests to different agencies. Dadalhin niya po. And then 5, request is approved by the participating agency. Number 6, guarantee letter or assistance is released. Number 7, approved amount is forwarded to the billing section of the hospital by the medical social worker. Ibig sabihin, hindi na po sila lalabas ng hospital, nandun na po sa loob yung proseso. Hindi katulad noon, hindi niya alam saan yung opisina ng PCSO sa town na yon. Ngayon, nandun na po yung representative, yung mesa mismo. Tayo na po ang lalapit sa mga pasyente. Hindi na natin sila papahirapan pang magpapumila madaling araw pa lang para humingi ng tulong sa perang kanila naman po. So the DOH, DSWD, and PCSO shall issue guidelines for the proper implementation of medical and financial assistance, which shall include availment procedures, order of charging of payments, recording and reporting, and monitoring and evaluation. In the formulation of guidelines, the efficient and most streamlined delivery of assistance to all beneficiaries shall be the primary consideration. Pati dito po sa PAC, sa Public Assistance Center ng Senate, plano rin po nating maglagay ng Malasakit Center. Halimbawa, nandiyan na po yung 4 na ahensya ng gobyerno. Same process po. Walang pipiliin kahit sino pong pasyente po. Katulad, may pasyente po si Senator Drilon. Lalapit doon. Tutulungan po ng DSWD. Magbibigay siya, halimbawa, yung bill niya sa hospital, 50,000. Bibigay po ng DSWD ng 20,000. Magbibigay ang DOH ng 10,000. Magbibigay po ang PhilHealth ng 10,000. Magbibigay po ng 999 yung PCSO. Piso na lang po ang bibigay ni Senator Drilon, or wala na po. Yun po ang target natin dito, zero balance.
Okay. Good. So, hindi po magbabago ang proseso sa opisina ni Senator Drilon sa pagtulong sa mga nangangailangan.
Wala pong pipiliin na pasyente po ito, basta ikaw ay Pilipino, qualified ka, lumapit ka lang po doon kahit na ni-refer po ni Senator Drilon, Senator Riza, Senator Kiko, o Senator Mig Subiri, basta ikaw ay Pilipino, wala pong pipiliin itong Malasakit Center.
Okay. Now, under Section 5 of the bill, it says, there shall be established a Malasakit Program Office in the Department of Health by augmenting, reclassifying, and strengthening the existing Public Assistance Unit of the DOH. The Malasakit Program Office shall oversee the operations of the Malasakit centers. Questions, sir? I assume all DOH hospitals has public assistance units, or is this a sporadic unit? I mean, a unit which is not consistently found in all DOH hospitals.
Currently, Mr. President, the Public Assistance Unit of the DOH only has 3 plantilla positions. It currently manages the medical assistance program, a billion peso program. It is just appropriate that we convert the unit into an office. The Malasakit program will also oversee the operation of the Malasakit centers in all the 72 DOH retained hospitals. This function would require additional personnel complement po. Kumbaga mag-hire po tayo ng, I have talked with the DBM and they have also submitted their position paper indicating their support for the creation of this office. Ang mangyayari po, mag-hire lang po tayo ng mga bagong social worker o mga personnel o kumbaga sa bahay na yon, mag-hire lang tayo ng mga katulong para po mag-assist doon sa mga...
Okay, so the public assistance unit of the DOH will now become Malasakit centers with augmented personnel. Is that correct, sir?
Tama ba? Correct, Mr. President.
Now, which means that there would be some budgetary implication on this, not much, I would assume, because this would involve only a few personnel. But having said that, we have here the position papers of the PCSO dated September 6, 2019. This was submitted to the good chair, and it appears here that the PCSO is saying that they would, that the Malasakit Center or the bill should, Malasakit Center bill should provide, I'll quote it, maybe the Malasakit Center bill should provide a clause rationalizing PCSO's taxes and non-health related mandatory contributions so that we can provide funds for Malasakit kung kinakailangan. My impression of this is that the PCSO is saying that the Malasakit Center will need funds that will be drawn from the PCSO, and therefore they are saying that Mr. Congress restructure and rationalize our taxes so that there will be more funds for the Malasakit Center operations. Do you get this sense, Mr. President?
Mr. President, under the UHC, 40% of the charity fund of the PCSO, net of the documentary stamp tax and the mandatory contributions, will go to the PhilHealth of the UHC. There would still be 8% of the charity fund available for the PCSO charity programs. They have committed to continuously provide medical assistance. Let me also emphasize that at this point, the need to rationalize the contributions of PCSO to various programs and agencies. GM Garma committed 1 personnel per Malasakit Center, and the discretion of giving assistance to the patients, hindi na po dadaan sa Malasakit Center. It would be direct from the representative of PCSO depending on the availability of funds po ng PCSO. Ito yung sinasabi nilang charity fund na pondo nila, at sila po ang mag-determine po sa assistance na ibibigay nila sa pasyente.
So,
Wala pong dadaan sa Malasakit Center, wala pong dadaan sa Malasakit program na kahit po piso. They will have their own table and representative, and they will be the one to determine their assistance to the patients, and they will be the one to assess.
okay, so there is no change in the present system that is in place in the PCSO insofar as the medical assistance is concerned, notwithstanding the creation of the Malasakit centers.
Correct, Mr. President. Wala pong magbabago sa magiging proseso. Kung ano po yung proseso noon, sila po ang mag-a-assist, magbibigay ng tulong. Ang kinaganda lang po nito, hindi na po sila kailangan magpalaboy-laboy pa humingi ng tulong sa pera namang kanila. So nasa loob na po ng kwartong yon, makakatipid sila sa panahon, makakatipid sila sa pamasahe. Tayo po ang lalapit sa kanila at pakita natin ang ating malasakit sa ating mga pasyente.
I guess in response to this concern of the Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office, we can say that the budget allotted presently for their medical assistance to indigents will remain the same. Is that a
Correct,
correct
Mr.
statement?
President. Nothing will change.
It will remain at the same level, at the same percentage that you have mentioned, so that if it's exhausted, it is exhausted.
Correct, Mr. President. It depends on their availability of funds. Their assistance would depend on their funds available.
Yeah. So the concern of the Philippine Charity Sweepstakes is addressed by that response of the good sponsor, so that there is no basis for the PCSO to express a concern about their ability to fund the needs of the patients who would approach them through the malasakit centers. Presently, Mr. President, how many employees are deployed in the existing malasakit centers? There are, you mentioned there are how many?
There are 18 malasakit DOH-run hospitals. Most of the DOH-run hospitals are three per DOH, no? Per DOH, 3 presently. But some malasakit centers, including po yung mga LGU-run, are bungi-bungi. You know what's bungi-bungi? Wala, kulang-kulang yung mga personnel nila. That's why we are pushing for the institutionalizing of institutionalization of malasakit centers.
And a typical malasakit center would have 4 personnel from the DOH. Is that correct, sir?
I think about 3 would be enough.
Plus,
Plus from PCSO, 1 per table, and then the PhilHealth, and also the DSWD,
all right.
2.
Because we're raising that question because under Section 8, the medical director, chief of hospital, or medical center chief may appoint and assign such other personnel necessary for the effective operation of the Malasakit Center, but this is understood to be limited by the how would you call this? The staffing pattern that the DBM will issue. Is that a correct statement, sir?
Correct, Mr. President. For example, ito po yung mga, that's why we need to set criteria dun sa mga LGU hospitals. Kasi some LGU hospitals are capable of hiring personnel, and kaya po nilang gumawa ng bahay para sa malasakit center. Katulad po ng kay Senator Sherwin Gatchalian sa Valenzuela, sila po mismo nagpagawa ng malasakit center, and they provided for their personnel in that center. And also, they provide additional funds for malasakit center. For example, after the assistance of the 4 government agencies, PCSO, PhilHealth, DOH, and DSWD, nag-ambag 50,000 yung bill, nag-ambag-ambag ng 10,000. Eh may pera po ang local government ng Valenzuela doon. So sila na po ang nagbayad ng balanseng 10,000 para umuwi pong zero balance ang kanilang pasyente. So ibig sabihin, mauna mo nang tumulong itong 4 na ahensya ng gobyerno. Ito po yung proseso na gusto rin nating gawin dito sa PAC. Kung nanaisin po ng ating mga kasamahan dito, mga colleagues na senators, ganun po ang gagawin natin. Mauna mo nang magbibigay yung 4 na ahensya ng gobyerno, saka na po kayo mag-shell out ng inyong assistance.
Good. There is nothing in the bill which would limit the availability of medical assistance only to those which are referred by the Malasakit Center. In other words, a president of a Rotary Club can make a referral to the PCSO. An ordinary councilor can request for assistance for his constituents. In other words, there is no exclusive status of the Malasakit Center insofar as referral and assistance to the indigents are concerned.
Kahit sino po ang pwedeng mag-refer.
No, yeah.
Pero ang
Sino-
meron po mag-assist, mag-interview to be interviewed by the social worker. Siyempre po,
Yes.
kailangan indigent yung
Yes,
pasyente at nangangailangan ng tulong at financially incapacitated.
Okay, we understand that, sir. But can an indigent patient go directly to the PCSO and request for assistance?
Yes,
There's
Mr.
nothing.
President.
Pwede ho yan.
pwede po, Mr.
Hindi
President.
naman kailangan na dadaan ang lahat na humihingi ng tulong sa Chief State, kailangan dumaan sa Malasakit Center.
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. President, kaya lang, etong bill nila sa loob po ng hospital na yon, nandun na po. Hindi na siya mamamasahe. Usually, mga opisina ng PCSO, 3 kilometers away, 10 kilometers away, traffic pa, hingi sila ng tulong. Bakit sila pupunta pa doon sa
Correct.
PCSO? Kung nandiyan na po sa harapan nila yung lamesa.
Tama po yan. Pero kung katabi sila ng PCSO office, pwede rin silang dumiretso.
Pwede
Yun ang
rin
pong
po
gusto
silang
ko.
humingi sa PCSO.
Alright.
Meron rin
That's
pong
all that,
opisina.
we wanted to put on record. Now, just one or two points more. Section 9 provides that medical and financial assistance. The Malasakit Center shall provide access to the following medical and financial assistance. The other way of putting this is Malasakit Centers will have access to the various funding agencies.
Yes, Mr. President.
Although that is not exclusive to the Malasakit Centers, as patients can go directly to the PCSO and DSWD.
Correct, Mr. President.
Thank you. Maybe at the appropriate time, we may propose that kind of an amendment just to make sure that the concept is maintained, that this is, that the other assisting or offices which gives assistance would not have to always refer everybody to the Malasakit centers. Now, under paragraph C of section 9, let me read: the PCSO medical assistance to indigent and financially incapacitated patients under the existing programs chargeable against its agents. Ano? No, not funds. The financial assistance is limited only to indigents and financially incapacitated patients, as provided here. You know, in other words, kung hindi ka naman indigent, hindi ka naman financially challenged, you cannot avail of this benefit.
Tama, di ba?
Di ba?
Correct, Mr. President.
That is the present system, and that will not be changed.
Yung financially incapacitated patient at saka indigent patient po.
Oo.
There was no visible means of income.
Hindi po, pareho din po yan. Yung mahirap na nangangailangan, yun ang ating tutulungan, hindi po ba?
Correct. Ito yung ito namang financially incapacitated patient, is a patient who is not classified as indigent but who demonstrates clear inability to pay or spend for necessary expenditures for one's medical treatment, such as patients with catastrophic illness or any illness which is life or limb threatening or requires prolonged hospitalization, extremely expensive therapies, or other special but essential care that would deplete one's financial resources as assessed and certified by the medical social worker.
The present PCSO medical assistance program would also be limited to indigent and financially incapacitated patients, Mr. President?
Only for the... Hindi, tinatanong niya about PCSO. Yes, only... are talking about malasakit centers dito, Senator Drilon. Mr. President.
Mr. President, I'm referring to Section 9, and let me read it again. The malasakit center shall provide access to the following medical and financial assistance. Letter C, the PCSO medical assistance to indigent and financially incapacitated or under existing programs. I am just wondering if there are, if this is the same standard that the PCSO has in its present policies.
Ganito po yun. Yung malasakit centers po, ang pwedeng mag-avail nito, itong mga financially incapacitated patients at saka mga indigent patients. Pero kung ikaw naman po ay Pilipino, gusto mo lumapit, dumiretso ka sa PCSO, kung iba naman pong assistance, different kind of assistance, it's not part of malasakit center. You may go straight to PCSO po. Kung other kind of assistance naman po ang hinihingi ninyo sa PCSO, for example, hindi naman po sa hospitalization, pamasahe, o sa sports, ibang usapan po yun. We're talking about the malasakit centers lang po.
Okay. So hindi kasama yon.
Hindi po kasama yan,
Yung
sir.
mga ibang marami hinihingi yan. Pamasahe, pang tuition sa anak, pang bili ng kalabaw.
Iba po. Itong...
livelihood.
Yes, Mr. President.
Hindi po kasama yon.
Iba po. Hindi po.
Okay. Would you know the magnitudes at this point of the medical assistance programs of the entire bureaucracy that can be accessed by the malasakit centers? Just a round figure, if the gentleman has available data. My question is, what is the total government resources that can be accessed by the malasakit centers to assist our indigent countrymen?
The number of patients...
No, sir, not the number of patients, but the funds annually that could be considered as the funds that the malasakit centers will have access to.
Let me repeat it.
Sorry, sir?
Let me repeat it. Ito pong malasakit centers, center lang po ito, bahay lang po ito. Ang magbibigay po ng assistance ay yung apat na ahensya ng gobyerno.
Opo.
So yung the discretion, nasa DOH, nasa PCSO, nasa PhilHealth at nasa DSWD.
So
wala akong ibang, hindi ko po mabibigay sa inyo yung lahat ng data ng apat na ahensyang yan kasi sila po ang magbibigay ng assistance. So, iba-ibang assistance po ang pwede nilang ibigay katulad ng DSWD. Sa DOH naman, they have their MAIP. DSWD, meron silang assistance, AIX, PCSO, they have their EMAP. So I don't have the data for that because Malasakit Center is purely a one-stop shop.
No, I'm not talking about the budget of the Malasakit centers. I am talking about the budgets in these 4 agencies, DOH, DSWD, PCSO, and PhilHealth. What kind, in the aggregate, what kind of, how much would the funds be on an annual basis, which can be accessed by the Malasakit centers to do a referral system, which is the intention really of the Malasakit centers. They do not, there is no intention to create another bureaucracy or another assistance program. It is, the Malasakit centers is designed to be a one-stop shop, a referral system with the benefits lodged in the 4 agencies. So the question that we have is how much, what kind of funds are we looking at that can be accessed by the patients or the indigent and financially challenged clients of the Malasakit centers on these 4 agencies?
Wala pong access ang Malasakit Center sa pondo ng 4 na ahensya ng gobyerno. Ang pasyente po ang may access niyan, and nothing will change kung ano po yung inaprubahan natin na budget ng Senado, ng Kongreso, at yun po ang pwedeng i-access ng mga pasyente.
Correct, sir. So that, for example, one-minute suspension, what's that?
Session is suspended for a minute.
Anyway. We move to resume, Mr. President.
Session is resumed.
Okay, maybe what we can do is, just to give us an idea, since we're talking about the budget for next year, maybe the staff of the good senator can just look at the budget and give us just a ballpark figure of what kind of, what are the totals of the medical assistance program that these 4 agencies would have in their own budgets, which can be accessed by the clients of the Malasakit Center, which would need assistance. That we can have that later, Mr. President. We don't have to insist that it be done now. It's just for information. So if we can have that tomorrow or pagbalik natin po sa November, this representation can accept that. So in the meantime, we have no other questions to ask, and we'll have, on the basis of the answers of the good gentleman, we may propose some amendments on the basis of our debates tonight, and on the basis of what the staff of the good senator can provide us insofar as the 2020 national budget is concerned. So we are through with our period of interpellation insofar as this representation is concerned.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Yes, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the good sponsor, Committee on Health and Demography, Chair, yield to a few more questions?
Sorry. Pardon, pakiulit po.
If the sponsor could yield to a few more
Gladly,
questions.
Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, before I begin, allow me just to say at the outset that we fully support interventions that seek to reduce the out-of-pocket health expenditure of all Filipinos, especially the poor, as we understand how much of a barrier it has become in accessing quality health care services. We also support measures that promote public health and health education among Filipinos because this will empower us to make healthier choices. These are reasons why we worked hard for and supported the passage of Republic Act 1122-3 or the UHC law last Congress. The measure being proposed by the sponsor is commendable for its support of the objectives of the UHC. Nevertheless, I just wanted to clarify some things and to make some suggestions as well to further enhance its social protection and public health goals. So una po tungkol sa PCSO. One of the main features of the UHC law is the pooling of funds from multiple government sources. And during our deliberations last year, the DOH and health financing experts were adamant that harmonizing these fund sources and funneling them through PhilHealth was the way forward in terms of financing UHC. One of those fund sources that was identified, and if I recall correctly, was proposed by the good presiding officer at nabanggit na rin ang sponsor kanina, is the 40% of the charity fund net of documentary stamp tax payments and mandatory contributions of the PCSO as provided for in Republic Act number 1169 as amended. And if I'm not mistaken, this was then estimated by the Senate President pro tempore to be around 3 billion pesos annually. I noticed, Mr. President, that in the current bill,
That's for PCSO.
Sorry, Mr. President.
PCSO is 3 billion and
Yes.
PACOR is about 13.5.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I noticed that in Section 9C of the current bill, it's being proposed that the PCSO will be mandated to provide medical and financial assistance to indigents. I have two questions about this, Mr. President. Una, does PCSO still have enough funds to cover medical assistance, Mr. President?
Mr. President, under the UHC, 40% of the charity fund of the PCSO net of documentary stamp tax and mandatory contributions will go to the PhilHealth for the UHC. There would still be 8% of the charity fund available for the PCSO charity programs. Let me emphasize also at this point, we need to rationalize the contributions of PCSO to various programs and agencies. Hindi po kukunin ang contribution ng PCSO to the UHC. Ito po, ma'am, halimbawa, meron kayong bill, for example, in dito sa PGH, government-run hospital, you have a 200,000 bill. Meron cancer patient or maybe medyo complicated yung pasyente or stroke. Lalapit siya sa UHC, ang sasagutin po ng UHC is around 45,000. So, kulang pa po siya ng 155,000. Lalapit siya ngayon doon. Kung may provided that merong malasakit center doon sa loob, kung magbibigay po ang PCSO ng 20,000 dahil meron siyang 8% ng charity fund, depende po sa availability ng fund nila. So meron na pong 65,000. Magbibigay po ang DOH. May pondo po ang DOH, bibigay sila ng 30,000. So 45, 20, 30,000, 95,000. And then finally, kung lalapit rin po sila sa DSWD, magbibigay po ng 30,000. So meron na siyang 125,000. So 75,000 na lang po yung kanyang ibubunot. Or, pwede siyang humingi ng tulong kay Senator Risa Ontiveros. Bibigyan siya ng 75 ni Senator Risa, wala na siyang babayaran. Or, pwede siyang lumapit kay President Duterte, meron pong iniwan na pondo si Presidente doon, OP Fund, bibigyan po ng 75,000 o 70,000. So, yung pasyente ni Senator Risa, 5,000 na lang po ang ibubunot ni Senator Risa para makakalabas na po yung pasyente. Yun po yung gusto mangyari ng Malasakit Center, Mr. President.
And Mr. President, particular lang sa PCSO, tansya po ng good sponsor na dyan sa 8% ng PCSO na i-rationalize, ay meron ngang sapat na pondo pa para i-cover yung medical
Yes, I got the
Thank you,
commitment
Mr.
of GM Garma. And then yung 8% na yan, depende po yan sa kanilang collection. Kung mababa yung collection nila, hindi sila makakabigay ng malaki. Halimbawa, pwedeng 5,000 lang ibibigay nila dun sa pasyente sa malasakit center. Dahil for that month, ito lang yung na-collection nila. So, depende po yun sa availability of funds. Pooling of funds po ito, mag-ambag-ambag lang po sila hanggang finally po to attain the zero balance billing. At alam naman po natin, yung UHC, kahit napasa na po natin ito, hindi pa rin po totally mako-cover ng UHC ang babayaran ng pasyente.
With the permission of the two, the
Yes, Mr.
gentleman and the
President.
gentle lady, the additional resources that the PCSO can provide is about 5 billion. Because we got 40% of their charity fund, and that is roughly 3.5 billion. So more or less, yung 60%, na natitira is 5 billion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Second and last question, Mr. President, good sponsor sa PCSO. I just want to clarify with the sponsor if this current measure will in any way amend or supersede Section 37 of RA 1122-3 and reallocate what has already been appropriated through this law to the fund for the provision of medical assistance in the malasakit centers, Mr. President.
No, Mr. President, wala pong gagalawin na contribution o pondo po ang malasakit center.
So I have it, Mr. President, from the good sponsor. It is on record that the bill will not amend any UHC law provisions.
Nothing. It will complement with the UHC, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Second question po, tungkol sa cost of the establishment of the malasakit centers. So the bill proposes the establishment of malasakit in all DOH hospitals with adequate staff complement. I just want to ask, Mr. President, meron po ba tayong cost estimate para dito? Magkano kayang i-cost yung pag-setup ng malasakit centers dun sa lahat ng mga ospital in terms of PS, MOOE, at saka capital outlay, Mr. President?
The establishment and operation of the malasakit centers will be undertaken by the Department of Health. During our meeting with the Secretary Duque, he said that he can make do with just piggybacking with the current system and centers of the PhilHealth in DOH hospitals. At yung mga iba pong nangailangan ng personnel ay dadagdagan po ng DBM. Halimbawa po, yung DSWD, kung kailangan nila ng additional personnel, ay dadagdagan po ito ng DBM.
So, tinatansya po ba ng good sponsor, Mr. President, na kung magpipiggyback naman na yung malasakit centers dun sa PhilHealth, wala ng capital outlay na i-entail ito?
According to Secretary Duque, at kung kailangan naman po, lagyan natin ng additional staff or personnel, wala pong objection ng ating Department of Budget and Management.
At dun nga po, Mr. President, sa sinabi ng DBM na bukas naman sila magdagdag para sa personnel, may tansya po ba tayo kung magkanong dagdag na PS ito?
Less than 100 million.
I-entail nito, rather.
15 million. 15 million for the DOH.
15 million pesos per year, Mr. President. Good sponsor.
Correct.
Thank you. And sa MOOE, meron po ba tayong dagdag na cost?
Wala na pong dagdag sa MOE.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sa pangatlong tanong ko tungkol sa health promotion and health education as a function of the center. Mr. President, I noticed that the malasakit centers, proposed centers, apart from being one-stop shops for medical and financial assistance, will also be responsible for a host of other things, including providing patient navigation and referral to healthcare provider networks, providing information on membership, coverage, and the packages of the National Health Insurance Program, and documentation, processing, and utilization of data from patient experience to shape institutional changes in the hospital, plus provision of capacity building and performance evaluation to ensure good client interaction. We're very supportive of enhanced functions of the malasakit centers, Mr. President. I think this would help in making hospitals become more responsive to the needs of our patients. I just want to ask if the sponsor is amenable to add one more function for the centers. I was thinking if we could add health promotion and health education activities among the responsibilities of malasakit centers. Yung ideya ko po, Mr. President, ay yung malasakit centers pwede ring maging hub for health promotion and health education activities sa mga ospital. Sayang din kasi yung opportunity na nandun na sila, maybe we could take the time to educate the patients and other persons in the hospitals about vaccination, smoking cessation, healthy diet, at iba pa. In the past 2 years, we proposed to include a special provision in the GAA which says that 5% of the retained income for DOH hospitals can be used for health promotion and health education. Maybe we can use this to push for public health and health promotion activities in these hospitals kung bukas po ang good sponsor sa dagdag na function na ito, Mr. President.
We will entertain an amendment for that purpose at the proper time. Anyway, Mr. President, under our bill, the DOH shall establish a malasakit program that shall promote client engagement and empowerment. Included in this is providing patient navigation and referral to the healthcare provider networks. Patient navigation refers to directing and assisting an individual to obtain healthcare services and overcome barriers for timely, cost-effective, and appropriate medical care.
Salamat, Mr. President. In fact, yung patient navigation, yung isang importanteng prinsipyo sa UHC law. At nakikita ulit natin yung complementation ng bill dyan. Second to the last question, Mr. President, sa Section 14, page 8 ng bill tungkol sa appropriations, specifically lines 28 to 31. What specific tax is Section 288A of the NIRC referring to? How much is your estimate for this collection? So particular po, Mr. President, tungkol sa incremental revenues from documentary stamp taxes.
The medical assistance will be sourced from the amounts earmarked under Section 288-A of the National Internal Revenue Code as amended for medical assistance, which shall be appropriated under the DOH specifically for medical assistance to indigent patients, portion of which shall be allotted for DOH hospitals, or ito po yung excise tax.
Excise tax, Mr. President. And then mga magkano ang tansya na aabutin itong excise tax na ito, referred to sa Section 288A?
Itong kokolektahin pa po ito sa susunod na taon. Wala pa tayong
wala pa pong projection, Mr. President. Wala pa pong projection sa ngayon.
Yes.
Alright, Mr. President. Last question, Mr. President. Given the enhanced functions and the further enhanced functions of the center na napag-usapan ngayon lamang, the center which now goes beyond the provision of medical and financial assistance to a center that promotes, encourages, strengthens health promotion and education, and enhances responsiveness of hospitals, would the sponsor, again at the proper time, be amenable to including the word kalusugan in the name of the Malasakit Center, as in Kalusugan at Malasakit Center, Mr. President?
Kalusugan, sa ngayon, ma'am, yun na kasi ang natatandaan ng tao, even...
Or Malasakit at Kalusugan Centers, Mr. President, as an alternative?
Okay. Pwede naman siguro. We can discuss it the proper time. We use malasakit because in the centers, we show malasakit to patients and their families needing assistance. At, for example nga po nung unang panahon, di ba, Masagana 99, ito po yung may mga programa tayong nakaka-catch ng doon tayo, punta tayo doon, malasakit. Baka pagpunta nila dito, malasakit, kalusugan, baka mawawala sila, ma'am. We can discuss it at the proper time, Mr. President.
Salamat, Mr. President, at sa good sponsor. And I look forward to proposing those two proposed amendments na napag-usapan namin sa ngayon. Salamat, Mr. President. Salamat, good sponsor.
Thank you.
Mr. President? Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, no other member wishes to interpolate the distinguished...
Majority Leader, is a plan to close the period of interpolations?
Yes, we plan to close the period of interpolations without prejudice to ask questions during the clarificatory questions during the period of amendments. Would you like to?
I could
propound?
finish my interpolation now, if that's possible.
I think the problem with Senator Go, Mr. President, I think the plane is waiting and everybody's strapped in except him.
Okay, so maybe next time then.
Mauna ka na. So, what is the pleasure of the presiding officer, Mr. President?
I leave it to the Majority Leader if there will be an opportunity when we come back to session on November, during the period of amendments, we could propose our questions, yes.
Yes, what we can do, Mr. President, which we always do, is to close the period of amendments without prejudice to asking clarificatory questions during the period of, amendments, yeah, close the period of
That is fine with me, Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President, therefore, I move, Mr. President, to close the period of interpolation on Senate Bill number 1076.
Is there any objection? There being none, motion is approved.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to suspend consideration of the
Is
same.
there any objection? There being none, motion is approved.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Majority Leader, may I request for a minute suspension?
Yes, Mr. President.
Thank you. Is there any objection? There being none, motion is approved.
We break? Liquidity problem? After this, I asked Tito Frank. Sabi niya, bukas na- Baka are you ready with the jail? Sa jails? Garland, Garcia, Mon Garcia.
Session is resumed. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, we have a few more important measures to take up, but due to the lateness of the hour and the request of our colleagues to take it up tomorrow, with I hope with due consideration to our guests here today, I move that we adjourn session until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But before we adjourn, Mr. President, just for our for the information of the body, we will take these bills in order, this order. For interpellation will be Senate Bill number 1055, which is the separate facility for prisoners convicted of heinous crimes. And then to follow will be the excise tax on tobacco and alcohol products. As we suspended consideration of the malasakit centers until we await the sponsor for, and several committee reports for sponsorship. Yes, Mr. President. So with that, I move that we, together with the bill of Senator Grace Poe, the National Transportation Safety Board, she also requested to sponsor this tomorrow for interpretation. Mr. President, with that, I move that we adjourn session.
Before
sir.
we adjourn, let me put on the record, let the presiding officer make a manifestation to congratulate the Majority Leader. I saw a picture of him together with Secretary Carlito Galvez, Chairman Nur Miswari,
Yes.
Senator Mig Subiri,
Put them all together.
Chief Minister Al-Haj Murad Ibrahim, Chairman Muslim Sema, all coming together for the first time in the last 3 decades.
That's correct, Mr.
So
President.
congratulations to our Majority
Thank you
Leader.
so much. That was a proud moment last night, and it was actually historic because individually, these people would not be meeting each other at any point in time. But because of peace for our country, for just and lasting peace, they came together last night for the first time. For the 3 of them, it was their first time to meet each other after over 30 years. And
So
it was quite
congratulations are
historic.
in order to the Majority
Actually,
Leader.
Secretary Galvez, sir, I was just a part of the occasion, and we'd like to congratulate OPAP. It was their anniversary yesterday, the Office of the Presidential Advisor for the Peace Process. So we are moving forward in Mindanao, Your Honors, and we're hoping that next in line, as I mentioned yesterday, when we read the leaders that were there, sabi ko, ang kulang na lang, in my speech, sabi ko, ang kulang na lang dito si Joma Season. Everybody was there, except him. So hopefully one day that will happen, and we will have a just and lasting peace in our country.
Thank you
Mr.
very
President.
much.
Mr. President, I
with
move
that-
that we adjourn.
Yeah.
Session
Session is adjourned
3 o'clock in the
to
afternoon.
3
Wednesday.
p.m. tomorrow,
Tomorrow.
October 2.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.